now. Here we go 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 now. we go now. Here 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 we go now.
and welcome to PUBG Mobile Club Open 2021 in the wildcard region. This is going to be the final day of the semi-finals, but alongside that, of course, a huge big thanks to our official media partner. That's going to be Nemo TV. But as I said, of course, this is going to be the final day. I'm going to be Bloro to take you through these games, and joining me, of course, is going to be once again Ankit. And this is going to be an entertaining day because Group B and D are going to be playing their final games.
Exactly, I mean, as you perfectly mentioned, the last day of the qualifiers and also the semi-finals for Group obviously B and C. Yesterday it was obviously when we got to see all the groups playing in, but B and D will be going head-to-head. It will be a hell lot of ruckus. We talk about teams like Godawari Fighters, Team ZeroDeath, Rex and Darksyde, but I'll have my eyes set upon especially on team like Darksyde because this was a team that really had a very good start when they started things off, but as soon as their journey progressed somewhere down the line, they did falter, but 4 more opportunities, and we have seen in the past that it's just one chicken dinner away. I mean, one high-flagging game, and they are right there at the top.
Absolutely, that certainly can be expected from that team, but eventually when we move on the conversation from one team to the other, it is of course what is at stake based on what the tournament is showcasing itself, because after all, there are only those 16 teams that move on forth into the finals itself, into the regional finals itself. We have been part of this entire saga. In this, of course, let's bring it down and showcase the graphic that will of course bring that thing that much more clear, where indeed this is going to be day number 6. 32 teams have been participating and showcasing some perfect plays, but now their journey is going to be coming to an end because only 16, the top 16, moving on forth, and that is not going to be an easy task. But as they do move on along, the ones that will be at the top of the totem pole in the finals will earn a slot for PMPL Season 4.
Exactly, as you just mentioned, as Group B and D will be locking their horns up, and this is the last resort, the last day, and the last day for all the semi-finals players. But before that, what they are playing for, what is on the stake, and that is going to be a massive, massive prize pool, and along with that, $3,600 is the one that will be getting once he get that crown, obviously, of the PMCO. But along with that, we can get to see that caption below that $3,600 qualified for PMPL Season 4. I guess a lot more than that, that $3,600 teams will be eyeing for this slot.
Most certainly will be, but right now again that is far away because after all it is going to be the top 16 that move on forth, and right now we are still in the semis itself, and to be able to do that, as of course Ankit was mentioning, you're going to have to be reigning supreme in terms of the kill department, in terms of getting that chicken dinner, and that is where the points come into play. Every single game it is going to be these teams who are going to be making that perfect placement points as well as kill department points that will be able to, well, synergistically move themselves in that much more of a contestation to get themselves in the top 16.
Exactly, as you just mentioned, the top 16 is going to be the most priority and the objective that is set up, because at the end, top 16 will be aggressing and progressing for the next final stage, and that will be sealing the fate of everyone. And as you just mentioned, these are point distribution: 15, 12, 10, 8, 6 it gets decreasing, and 8 to 12 just gets 1. But talking about the groups, talking about the kill points, we have gotten to see Group B coming in with Darksyde, NEPALZ, Team ZeroDeath and Rex. I mean, all the 3-4 teams that we are getting to see on our TV screen really had a very good start of the game. Talk about NEPALZ, talk about ZeroDeath. But moving on along, we have teams like Godawari Fighters, Team Ronak. So this is also one team, Team Ronak, that really started off this wildcard region in a style, in a fashion, but somewhere down the line, other teams started overpowering each other. And in that, Team Ronak did somewhere falter down. And talking about other group that will also be a part for today's gameplay after Group B, it is going to be Group D, and in this it is going to be obviously SCL NVS. You remember, they came out in the battleground, they tried to take the fight, and there we go, they got the chicken in that match.
Absolutely, and as the journey continues on forth, of course, Team Godfather, Legend Esports, Tier 10, these are a few names that are also going to be part of Group D, and to combine their efforts together, these are the opportunities that will be showcased to them to bring the entire saga to an end during the semis itself. It is going to be starting things off on Erangel, following up to Miramar, then Sanhok, and then once again, to close the day off, we will be coming back to Erangel again, and that is when we will have the final answer as to what teams are going to be moving on along to be a part of course, the regional finals.
Indeed it is, but before moving that, we need to take a quick glance over the overall ranking, and then the picture will be more clearer and more precise, and then we get to see obviously Paradox OCE finishing their 12 matches and still there at the top. It seems that no other team will be fetching them because they are sitting right there at the apex, like a mountain, like a big rock. But then it is going to be a day for Entity Nepal, SCL NVS, where they are standing at the 7th and 8th position, and they have to play back-to-back 4 matches for the day, and they really have a good chance to climb up to the top 5 because there's not much of a difference. You get to see just the 5 and 7. That is going to be 12-point difference between NTT Nepal, between them and Face of the Death. But it's just the top 8. We need to see the second half of the chart from obviously 9 to 16, and then we'll get to see what sort of toppling will be there for today, because top 8 looks pretty good, but next half of the chart will bring more clearer picture of it as we get to see Rogue Nation. They have finished off the match, but Team Ronak, I was talking about this team. Now this team has got 2 chicken, but still on the second half of the chart, and the only team to eventually get 2 chicken at the end of 8 matches and still they being there on the second half of the chart.
Exactly, and as the journey continues on, fourth, we are looking at 4 Godawari fighters, CNT Esports, the Legend Esports, who are all going to be in contestation to be a part of the second page, because this is where the fight is along. But now these teams are confirmed, yes, but the third page will showcase what teams are going to be contesting against those teams on the second page. It is going to be Illuminate Crew, it is going to be Darksyde, it is probably even going to be NPC, Vengeance Esports, as well as Team ZeroDeath. It's not going to be an easy undertaking, but for the moment, that is what is on the line, and that is something that Illuminate Crew as well as the likes of the other teams are going to have to showcase. But for now, it is not going to be an easy task, because, well, there is such a big point difference from that 27th team all the way to up towards the 16th team. So a lot of synergistic plays are going to be required for these teams to be able to bring up that sort of a domination. And then talking about domination, if you've got teams like 4 Godawari fighters and others, then it becomes that much more of a tricky affair in the lobby to try and get the game working towards you in terms of the kill department as well as the placement points. But again, I mean, the opportunity is there. The opportunity is there, and we have seen certain teams take that opportunity with stride and, of course, bring themselves up onto a perfect day itself. Hopefully today we will see somewhat of a similar story, but only time can answer that. For now, I can only hope that these teams bring in the best of the best play. But Ankit, if we were to talk about Illuminate Crew, that is the one team that is looking very, very close to be able to actually achieve that task of getting in the top 16, right?
Probably, I guess they will be getting that slot for the top 16. But for the moment, enough of us, as we are heading and jumping straight into the first game of Erangel. The flight path is already on its way from the southern side and jumping towards the western side of this map. Completely southern dominated flight path. The teams do love to go towards the area of extreme corners like Zarki and Stalwell, Kamishki. Pretty much unglidable sort of, but still, if they try to do so, they will be taken care of. But Godawari have gotten to see a lot of northwestern circle yesterday. What are your expectations in terms of circle for today? Just a quick prediction.
Well, East.
Wow. Okay.
East, I would like to think East is what the circle should dominate today, but we shall see if that will be the case or not. Talking about the drops itself, finally we do have teams taking on a wonderful approach to the game itself, where indeed certain teams are not going to be able to go onto their comfortable drop locations towards the northern side of the map, but overall it is looking like a decent saga, especially for the side of course, Darksyde, because they have been able to get themselves acclimated on towards the Norupnaya. And another thing that's working in the favor is that there is absolutely no other team towards the military base as well as the Norupnaya region that is going to be contesting that location from them.
Indeed, it is going to be some case, but somewhere down the line, we are getting to see a lot of drop locations toward the southern side, and obviously on the southern coast of that main island, and teams are jumping towards the farm region, Milta Power region, and then we have gotten to see the farm split, and then Ferry Pier. So team, it seems that for the time being, the drop location eventually justifies why they are in the southern side of that, because they were preempting that the circle might go towards the southern side, and taking that one thing into the consideration, they jumped towards the southern side of all those shorelines areas. And since they have jumped off, it seems that we can get to see some early contestation, which I was really not expecting to see. But since now every team is just trying to topple each and everyone down and just trying to get this slot acquired, this is one good thing that can happen.
Absolutely will be happening as well, because we can clearly see CNT Esports are the ones who are trying to reign in supreme against the players of SCL and VS. But will that happen or not, we shall have to see, because for now it is CNT's players who are being very, very quiet. They are certainly trying to get the information, but as this fight is progressing on, it is going to be the side of Team Ronak, Alcoholic, bringing in a perfect first blood sort of a situation for himself. He's been able to get a knock, but a kill has not been confirmed from the looks of it. Well, kill will be confirmed, and it is going to be Alcoholic who will be getting a kill against the players of NPC and be chiming in with the first blood for the side of Team Ronak. So 1 point confirmed for them.
Exactly, the start that they were looking for is what they have gotten for the moment. Remember some epic fight that really happened in this area of Ferry Pier when there was some different team, but now the storyline is different, the formation is different, and obviously the region is too different, as now the teams are trying to slowly and steadily march their move forward. But for the moment, it is obviously going to be SCL NVS that are really trying hard. I mean, they are not in that comfortable spot, they are not in that driving seat where they can afford to go 1 or 2 match event, but on the other hand side, they really have to start throwing everything that they have, every sort of strategies that they have practiced to bring in. And since they are here, they have a lot of hopes, a lot of dreams, and they just don't want it to get shattered. For the moment, it is going to be CNT Esports Vez that is just marking the weapons for the rest of the teammates, and it seems that AKM is the go-to gun for this team, as the team just will be looking to onslaught the players of SCL NVS that is pretty much in closer vicinity. As soon as that happens, we can get to see some sort of a skirmish that can go on, but it seems that SCNT Esports need to be taking care of the back, because SCL and VS, some players have gone from the extreme flank angle, and by the looks of it, we can see that purple marker on the northern side of that mini-map. One player from the sides of SCL and VS can actually backfire them, backstab them, and this won't be a good situation, as CNT Esports is also one team that was really struggling in terms of the total point that they have, and both the teams, if we just talk about it, need all these points badly.
Absolutely do. There's no denying it. All these teams certainly do need those points, because again, when it comes down to Group A and C, they have taken over quite a lot of the chart when it comes to the first page in the overall ranking, and that of course can only be toppled over if you are chiming in along with your gameplay into the second page of the leaderboard, and then from there you will have to reign in supreme game after game to be a part of the top first half of the leaderboard itself. But for now, again, the main objective for the teams is to participate in the top 16 itself, and the way they can do that is collecting those points. And as we did discuss, it was Illuminate crew who were looking like from the third page, who were looking like they might be able to, if they play their cards right and if the game works in their favor, they might be the team who could very well capitalize the situation and prioritize and get into the perfect placement of the circle, as well as the kill feed, as well as of course getting those points, those placement points, and eventually find themselves in the top 16. But it's not only one game. That will have to be a consistent game that this team will have to showcase throughout the day. For now, CNT Esports did try and take on a little bit of a burst damage against the players of SCL NVS, but SCL NVS were able to get away from that precarious situation, and Feriwala will find himself in the comfort of his teammates, and eventually this stalemate situation that these two teams found themselves in the early few minutes of the game itself has now triggered a different sort of an arena fight itself, because CNT find themselves all alone.
Indeed it is. You remember Feriwala's performance, especially from that side, and he was looking just gobsmackingly well. But for the moment, it is one team more that will be sitting themselves and finding themselves in the core fortified areas around the big city of Novorupnoi for the moment, and that is going to be of Darksyde, as Ghost is slowly and steadily just trying to loot the complete surroundings and areas. And one thing is for sure, that Darksyde will have be the best of the best loot, because it's the area of Novorupnoi that eventually offers you a lot of loot, and since nobody is in contestation, it's just the four friends from the same side that will be getting the better half of all those loots around. But as soon as the circle got a shift and made a shift, it is going to be the Legend Esports that have quickly on their toes moved towards that area, and that is going to be one good rotation that might happen to be their case. But it's not the only rotation, because each and every team must be eyeing for that spot, and sooner or later in next 5 or 6 minutes we might get to see more teams converging into the same area, and if that happens, it is going to be a contestation that we might get to see. If that happens, it will be also one thing that to look out for. But as soon as Darksyde will be making a rotation away from the area of Novorupnoi, they need to make sure that they have different sort of vehicles. Obviously, bike is not going to be the one thing that they would love to traverse, but the question remains, will SCL NVS try to bridge cam the situation for any team that might be coming in from the sides of Military Bridge? On to the other hand, it is an extreme rotation coming in from the sides of Vengeance, and now they have taken the water route and they are in the oceans. Ashish and one more player from the sides of Vengeance have already reached the shorelines of the military base on the southwestern side, and 2 players are joining them soon. So this is one good thing that can happen, because even if they get some fire, these guys, these lads from the sides of Vengeance that are standing on the ground will be getting a good cover fire. But one more water rotation, here we go. It is gonna be eliminate crew. I mean, 2 water rotation, but as soon as more and more team will converge, there will be a complete traffic in these water areas.
Absolutely, and talk about a late rotation coming in from the side of Georgiopol. It is going to be a team of NPC who we did see earlier got their player knocked and sent back. It was Rage against the players of Team Ronak. Team Ronak have made a perfect rotation for themselves as they find themselves closer and closer towards the bridge itself, and that is where things can get a little tricky for the team. But eventually NPC are making a really late rotation, and they're going to be probably traveling quite a lot of this journey, because as they do bring themselves away from the Georgiopol drop location that they decided, the circle is of course going to be constructing. This is just the first zone itself, and we are 8 minutes into the game, and this is where the game is forcing these teams to get onto the military base island itself, and as they do so, they are most certainly going to be gate kept as well as caught off guard. And right now we do have the team of Fear 10 who are in close proximity towards the team, of course, of Entity Nepal. But will there be a contestation? Will there be a fight? Because Entity Nepal is going to be out in the open, and it seems like Fear 10 are actually going to be rushing on down towards the exact same spot that Entity Nepal find themselves in. So an interesting play being showcased, but it seems also oblivious to the fact that Fear 10 have absolutely no idea that there is a teammate from, not a teammate, sorry, an opponent from the side of Entity Nepal who is exactly in that same vicinity, and eventually it will be Entity Nepal Mahang who will take a perfect from Makara, and then the Micro Uzi will completely be dominating the player of Fear 10, and in doing so, now it is Neil who is going to be at the receiving end, and his teammates from the side of Fear 10 are certainly not creating a flank angle, are certainly not playing the game that they should, but eventually Neil will get the better half of the fight. But now it is Entity Nepal's teammates who are chiming along, and within a fraction of seconds, it is Fear 10's team that was absolutely pincered down with only 2 players surviving and 1 player already knocked. It seems like Entity Nepal had this absolutely gorged out, and this has turned into a perfect approach for them. They've been able to confirm 2 kills for themselves for now.
What a teamwork, what a teamwork. There was a time where Neil was just trying to dominate at this point, but he didn't have an inch of a time, a sliver of a time to actually react to the situation, and on a quickness, it was Mogambo from the sides of Entity Nepal that really made a push in, and now the grenade will be lobbed in. The grenade will be heard towards the player of Hades, and it seems that Hades will not go down. Rather, it will be Mogambo that will be on the receiving end, and all of a sudden, the tides are turning around as now Fear 10 survives on 2 players standing with Fear and Fragger number gone down. It is also a even affair. The fight is on, and the numbers are on from both the sides. 2 players each. Will they be taking a fight or will they be retreating? That is going to be the big question, because if they take the fight, they are already dented with 2 players each reduced from this side, with obviously Neil and Fragger down from the sides of Fear 10 and Mahang, and obviously 1 more player, Mogambo, from the sides of Entity Nepal down. The fight is on, and both these situations in both these teams have done the equal amount of collateral damage.
They most certainly have, and it is looking like a very ferocious stance that Fear 10 are trying to create and make for themselves, and in doing so, now are going to be trying to just completely get away from that situation, and that is when, of course, Entity Nepal are going to have to oblige, because they have been brought down to a 2-man army, as well as so did the team of Fear 10. So an interesting fight where, of course, it was Nade parade as well as a trade fight is what it was. 2 players lost from the side of Entity Nepal, so they were able to get 2 kills confirmed for themselves as well. So 2 points being shared between these 2 teams with the fight that they just took. In doing so, we have now, of course, moved on to 11.5-minute marker. Second zone already is what the circle has constructed on towards, and it is going to now slowly but surely get that much more interesting for the teams that are going to be making the rotation, because now they are certainly going to be part of those third parties. NPC find themselves in the comfort of the zone, but will that be enough? Because they are at the edge of the zone for now. They have been able to make that long late rotation from the side of Georgiopol, but will it be enough? We shall have to see.
They are still on the main island blotter. They are still on the main island blotter, and this is going to be one shift that will be sealing the fate, obviously, for 2 teams at least. That is going to be of NPC and NEPALZ. But as you did mention, mention and have been mentioning again and again, it is gonna be NPC that have made that late rotation, and in doing so, they have landed themselves, finding themselves into that obviously the main island area, and this is going to be one good thing, or one big thing I should rather say, because the circle will be making a shift, and that will be tending to go towards either onto the left or right hand side of those two bridges. We'll get to see, but more and more teams have made all those successful rotations, and since Darksyde have evacuated Novoripnoi, it is going to be an easy task for Trex to make an entry, and this shift is going to be a one big shift, and in that doing so, it is going to be NEPALZ that have to come into entry. It is going to be NPC, and in that it is going to be ZeroDeath that might be pinning them down, because they already know that it's two team on the backhand side.
It certainly is, and now it is going to be a rotation that will be the main priority for these teams to get into the zone, especially the teams that find themselves on the main island itself. These are the teams right here on our screens, where it is NEPALZ, it is going to be ZeroDeath. ZeroDeath are most certainly going to be moving that in and getting that rotation perfectly made for themselves. NPC with that, following that track, and eventually it is going to be a conversation for NEPALZ to try and pincer the movement down from NPC as well as ZeroDeath. As of now, NPC are certainly bringing in those perfectly set up nades against the players of ZeroDeath, but ZeroDeath have gotten themselves pretty much committed to gatekeep the situation for the team, but will it be enough? Because the way NPC is pushing on along, it is not going to be an easy task, but as soon as NPC get themselves out in the open, it is going to be NEPALZ who might just get the better half of this fight with perfectly set up flank angle that NEPALZ find themselves in. It is now going to be based on the conversation that what sort of an information is NEPALZ going to be able to sustain from this entire saga. On the other tangent, talk about NPC. They are trying to go for a water rotation where two players were pushing on to the players of ZeroDeath, and two have moved on to get themselves a control of the boat itself, and in doing that, that is going to be working perfectly for them. But ZeroDeath could be the one that could reign in supreme in this entire fight, and eventually that's not even going to be the case, because ZeroDeath have decided to make a rotation for themselves, and now it is going to be the players of course CNT who are now going to be in the crosshairs for NEPALZ as the rotations are being made, and NEPALZ is the only team that can very well bring in a lot of damage to these teams. But on the island itself, on the military island itself, it is going to be vengeance taken on the players of SCL NVS, but SCL NVS have gotten the better half of the fight. Rohit has already been knocked and sent back, and lead in doing so. Ashish has been knocked, and this is going to be SCL NVS who will be able to take this fight or not. We shall have to see, because this is looking like a really good push coming in from the side of Vengeance player, but eventually he will be brought down, and Shafi will most certainly be confirming the kill for himself. An amazing turn of events for the side of SCL NVS, as they have been able to accumulate 3 defeats as of now, with all 4 players still standing.
There was no sort of formation from the side of Vengeance. 2 players in a different directions, 1 player on different directions. 1 player was still in the back, but just not enough for him to take down Shafi, as Shafi in that 1v1 fight took 2 down, and this resulting 2 kills is what he has been to secure. There is the great, and he will be looting for sure as for the moment. But now NEPALZ are actually pinning down NPC Snart, and NPC Snart was the 1 player that was left abandoned, as the rest of the 2 did made a water rotation, and he was the lone guy. He was the poor guy that had to sacrifice his life in order to get past the rest of the 2 teammates into go and move into the zone. It is now going to be SCL NVS that will be trying to pencil down the player, and they are finding themselves in this fortified area, but the question still remains, are they going to be finding themselves again in the zone? But this is not going to be one thing, as now the circle has made an eastern shift. This resulting Darksyde straight off a go. They have a really good stronghold, and is the only team that is holding the edge of the circle. But look at this, 15 teams are still alive, and we are heading towards the 22-23 minutes of the circle. What a game it is going to be. On the western side, there are going to be 5 to 6 teams that are coming into the circle, and into the water areas, it is going to be ZeroDeath that is trying to pin down the players of CNT, and with that it seems that CNT becomes the first team to get eliminated. But NEPALZ are also coming in, and Sushi has been taken away as that spray came in from the sides of Smoking, and that was enough for him and enough for NEPALZ 2 players to take down, and that means that it is going to be Bond that will be finding himself away, and that fall damage resulted him being the last player, and since he was the last player, he was taken away, and taken away not only him, it is also going to be his complete team.
Well, ZeroDeath certainly playing it to perfection when it comes to gatekeeping the situation, and that is what they were doing earlier when they were onto the main island and having moved on down towards the military base as well. They did that to perfect spray, as they were able to pincer down the rotation coming in from NEPALZ as well as CNT. This team is now looking pretty neat in terms of the way that they've been able to dominate and play, and will be able to now move on along to get themselves in the comfort of the zone. But will they be allowed? That is going to be the conversation, because they are certainly going to be making a rotation. But again, there are so many teams in this entire vicinity that they can very well be gate-kept themselves. We shall have to see if that will be the case or not. For the moment, it is going to be Darksyde taking on a fight against the players of Illuminate Crew, and on the other tangent, it is the team of SEL Envious, who are also at the receiving end as they make their rotation to get in the comfort of the zone.
It is going to be Entity Nepal on to the other tangent. They are taking the fight as now let's do it, and Easy still survives, but the question still remains what sort of strategies they will be throwing to us. But in the meanwhile, it is going to be Eliminate Crew that is coming slowly and steadily into the fight, and now they are taking down the players, taking the fight with them getting pinned down. It is going to be TGF that is going to be the Godfathers, exactly, that is now going down slowly and steady, and SCL and VS in all of these situations are on a certain receiving end, as now the players have been knocked down slowly and steadily. With the players going down from the sides of TGF, it is a sandwich situation between them and Entity Nepal. Since they are being pinned down, it can be a game at end and a dead for TGF too.
Well, for now it is going to be Illuminate against the players of SCL NVS, and SCL NVS none the wiser have definitely no say in this conversation, and right off the bat, within a second or few, it is going to be Illuminate, which is going to be Illuminate Group, which is going to be able to bring down SCL NVS and send them back. So what a play this is turning out to be. Whereas on the other tangent, it is going to be Entity Nepal's players who are going to get that revival, the only two man who are remaining from their side. Eventually they are trying to take on the fight against the players of course, TGF right now. And when it comes to the side of TGF, this team needs these points. There's no two ways about it. This team finds themselves on the 4th page of the leaderboard, but eventually it seems like that will not be allowed, because TGF are playing it synergistically and are going to be pushing on along. They were able to get this knock earlier as well, but eventually as they try and take on this fight, it is going to be Illuminate Crew that will chime in along as a third party and will be penciling down the players of TGF as well as Entity Nepal. Entity Nepal have been sent back in the lobby with the 3 kills that they've been able to sustain. On the other side, Illuminate Crew are absolutely reigning supreme, with all 4 players just completely ferociously moving on across this entire circle and penciling down their teams, their opponent teams, with 5 kills that they've been able to get. This team is looking momentous.
This is looking momentous at this moment, and they are looking good at this moment, as now they are trying to pin down the one left player from the sides of TGF, and that's going to be Bhasmi. For how long is the question that he will survive the onslaught, as now he is finding himself away from all these fights. But since Illuminate Crew know the exact position where Bhasmi is still hiding and trying to find himself in the smoke cloud, at any moment, at any point, a straight slam in by all the 4 players will be a tough chance to survive. But will that happen? That is also going to be the case, as now with 5 kills, Illuminate Crew is looking damn strong at this moment, with some players still holding the center lines of the circle. We talk about Say Hang. He is finding in himself into that small little shack that is not good to hold, but still good enough to get a lot of info, as he is now passing on each and every info to his rest of the teammates that are lying on the backhand side. And it was just a moment ago that he made a push onto this small little shack, and now he is getting assistance of his 1 more teammates, with 2 more players still left on the edge of the circle. They're just trying to pin down any player and just trying to make it difficult for anyone to survive in the situation. And talking about difficulties, it seems that obviously the teams like the Legend Esports, the team that is in the purple marker, might be facing the onslaught, might be facing the brunt. But for the moment, it is gonna be 4 Godawari fighters, with Sabine falling down, Salty has also gone down, Zeem has also gone down. It is just the Zero Bay, the last player surviving, and he's also not in a good position that he might survive for a long.
Well, ZeroDeath in this entire saga is the one who is absolutely taking control against these players who find themselves at the edge, and it is going to be, of course, a conversation for ZeroDeath to be able to completely fence down the players of Godawari, and eventually as they do so, it is going to be the Legends who chime in along with a third-party situation of their own and are going to be trying to confirm a kill for themselves, and ZeroDeath is the ones that they are trying to dominate up against. As of now, the team of the Legends have already only been able to get that 1 point confirmed for themselves with the 1 kill, but right now it is going to be Odin who seems to have spotted down the players of ZeroDeath, and it is going to be Dago who's trying to make a rotation from that entire space, but will he be allowed to do so? As of now, of course, the Ridges and those small little mountain areas are certainly working for him as a cover, and eventually will certainly allow him to make that rotation. And now ZeroDeath have their attention shifted away from ZeroDeath, or the Legends have their attention shifted away from ZeroDeath on towards the other players. And in all of this, when you talk about the kill feed, it is Illuminate crew that is just reigning supreme again and again. That team is just bringing down players. They've been able to accumulate 8 kills already for themselves with 8 teams remaining. Team Ronak has been chiming in along as well, but they are only a 2-man army as they find themselves at this very precarious situation against the players of ZeroDeath. It is not going to be an easy fight for themselves. They are bringing in a lot of nade parade. They have been able to confirm that 3rd kill for themselves, but will it be enough? Team Ronak have that cover of the smoke as well as the buggy, but will it be enough? Will there be another team who will try and pinch them down? For now, they have 175 meters to cover with 7 teams remaining. This is not going to be an easy task, but it seems like this is a doable thing for the side of Ronak for the moment.
Indeed it is, and also for the teams of Eliminate Crew, as of also 4 players are still surviving and they are holding the edge of the circle with 1 more player getting down. It was a day end for Vengeance ES with just 1 kill. Again, not one more good game that they were looking for, but certainly a good game that Eliminate Crew was looking for. 9 kill is where they are standing at this moment, and some players are trying to come out of the circle. But now they are trying to pinch around the players and pepper a lot of bullets onto the player of Darksyde that is still surviving. You remember from this early stage of the game where they just jumped down to the 8 of Nova now, and since then they have been finding themselves in a good position, and since they have been finding themselves in a good position, there is no loss of players from their side, and now they're just trying to dominate any team that is coming in from the northern side. And one good game is what Darksyde needs to get there at the top. And this is where they will shine upon. I'm sure some smokes are being used just in order to blind that area, just in order to get the blind spot. But for the moment, it is obviously again Illuminate Group that will be acting as a big one roadblock for them.
Well, it is going to be Team Ronak Summer who has been able to drop the player that was playing so good. It is going to be Sasa Hung from the side of Illuminate Crew with 5 kills that he was able to get for his team. Eventually, he will be dropped and sent back because it is going to be the Ronak Summer who was just waiting over there. Along with that, Basme from the side of TGF, the Godfather team, is still in this entire saga as Team Ronak just completely chimes it along. They've got another knock on the side of Illuminate Crew. What a perfect spray and play. This is going to be on fire right next to Summer right now, but of course the smoke working in that dude's favor will not be giving away information. But again, the same can be said for On Fire as well, because he does hear the audio cues, but he has absolutely no idea where the opponent team is. Summer and Easy are so close to On Fire OP right here, and On Fire just waiting. He's just patiently waiting. He is just not wanting to give any audio cue away whatsoever at all. But as the smoke dissipates, it is going to be the side of Team Ronak that get the better half. Once again, Summer chimes in along. What a domination it is showcasing from the side of Team Summer, Team Ronak. And Summer is the lad who is just absolutely penciling down the players that were looking so ferocious right now, and that is going to be none other than Illuminate Crew, who are at the receiving grunt of this entire saga.
That grenade just was lobbed in so perfectly, and with 1 bounce, he is making some amount of damage, but just not still enough as he's trying hard. He knows the fact that it is going to be that 1 bounce onto his lap, but that big rock is really saving him. The big rock is really saving him, and so as for Easy from the sides of Team Ronak, but Summer and Easy are still surviving, and Summer has really made it tough for Cobra OP to survive. And now it seems that now Cobra OP is done and dusted with all the utilities and grenades, and now it is going to be an onslaught that may come in from the sides of Easy, and Summer will be acting as a bait. If he tries to move in forward in the open approach, it is one good way to actually take him down. But in all these situations, it is going to be Darksyde. All the 4 players alive, they are the one that sensing the chicken dinner. They are the one that are really waiting to take down all and each player. With Easy holding that back flank angle, it is just going to be 37 meters. And now it's the time that it is going to be Summer that will be making him pay with all the grenades. Now it is time. He is making it too hot and too humid and too hard to survive. With the Darksyde taking care of the back of Cobra OP, it seems that he will be finished off by the help of Darksyde.
What a play. What a perfect play from Summer indeed. I mean, he's been able to accumulate 3 kills of himself. What a massive turn of events it has been. As soon as Team Ronak got into this entire saga, they have been absolutely penciling down the team and have been able to eliminate Illuminate Crew, and now in doing so, they are still not done. Easy is going to be trying to bring on that sort of a dominating play against the players of the side of Darksyde, but Easy is not going to be that easy, mate, because you are taking on a team that is a 3-man army, and in that, of course, the fight will be favoring Darksyde. They are the ones who get the chicken dinner, an easy chicken dinner for them, but eventually when you talk about the fight, when you talk about the aggression, that was absolutely being dominated from the side of Illuminate Crew. And as we moved on towards the end of the game, it was also Team Ronak that reigned in supreme. But GG to Darksyde for having played their cards right. They have been able to accumulate 6 kills in this game. 677 damage is what they participated in, with 21 total points. they find themselves in the overall ranking on the 16th position. 16th position is good, but they need to do better. They have found themselves in top 16, but now they need to be trying to climb up from there.
They have got the start. They have certainly got the start, and for the moment it is going to be the MVP, and that is obviously going to be Team Ronak from the sides, Summer rather, from the sides of Team Ronak, and he has got the 3 important kills, and he was the one that was really reigning supreme from every different directions. He was just not allowing anyone to survive in the closer proximity nor in the mid to semi range fight, and thus resulting him getting 2 assists, 174 healing done, and a massive amount of 724 damage. And with that being said, it is going to be us that will be moving towards the top players of the list, where we're getting to see a lot of players chiming in, especially from the sides of Illuminate Crew.
Absolutely, Illuminate Crew were creating a lot of ruckus this time around. It is going to be Sesahang who got the 5 kills for himself, and his teammate right here on fire OP along with that, chiming in along with the 3 kills of his own. Eventually, as the journey continued on, it was Summer and Easy from the side of Team Ronak who are also going to be finding themselves in the top 5 players list, because they were so good. They were so very phenomenal indeed. And as we move on along, let's have a look at the match summary from this game.
Indeed, Sesahang again, 5 is the highest number of kills that he was able to secure, and then it was Ghost with not a very longest kill distance but still decent enough to get counted, and that's why he is finding himself in that column with Illuminate Crew players again chiming in with the most utilities used, and the player that got the maximum assist, they were looking strong until and unless they were being pinned down, because it was Team Ronak that really made it difficult in that moment, because a barrage of grenade was just thrown on and hurled onto the face of them, and thus resulting their elimination.
That certainly is true. What a play that was. I mean, it is just absolutely momentous play that Team Ronak were creating. I mean, once they moved away from the team of the Legends, they just completely went on to create a perfect spray and play for themselves against the team of course, Illuminate Crew as well. And with that, let's move on and have a look at the match rankings coming in from this game. Illuminate Crew walking away with 11 kills with 10 placement points, find themselves exactly at the same point that Darksyde do, with 21 points to both these teams.
Darksyde completely justifies why they are here. They are moving forward with the placement points. 15 is what they get because they got the chicken, and Illuminate Crew, as the name suggests, and the player power pack performance, the gun power they bring in, they certainly rely on the kill factor, and that's where they got the 21 total points. So a well-deserved point for both these teams, but Team Ronak have now slowly and steadily made a move with a total of 19 total points, and in that doing so, it was also one good game for Team Godfathers. 8 placement points, just the 2 total kill points, but at the end, point is all what they want. Beat with the kill, beat with the placement point. At the end of the day, it is going to be this that will be favoring them. But moving on to the second half of this match ranking from 9 to 15, we got to see some early elimination. You remember NPC that was caught in that northern island where they were being pinned down by a lot of team. It was NEPALZ, and then it was ZeroDeath, and there they completely perished. But for the moment, it is going to be the overall ranking that will be making the picture more clear in terms of which team is moving forward and which team is really getting a downward lead. But for the moment, it is going to be Team Ronak. That green marker above their name suggests that they have now made a comeback in the first half of the chart, with the rest of that first half of the chart still remaining the same. It is going to be Team Ronak that have now got a very good start.
They certainly have gotten a decent start for themselves, as they find themselves, of course, on the 8th position right there with 91 points to that team. And of course, if the journey continues on like this, then it is looking really, really phenomenal for the side of Team Ronak. Entering Nepal also having a perfect play for themselves this time around, will find themselves on that 7th position with 99 points, so just 6 points shy. They will be able to move on and take on the players who have already completed the 12 games. As we move on to the second page, things are going to get that much more interesting, because this is where the teams like, for example, the Legends Esports have moved up in terms of the playstyle that they've been able to create. Illuminate Crew find themselves in the top 16 on the 14th position with amazing 21 points that they accumulated from this game. 69 total points is what this team is at.
It's just a one game from the sides of Group B and D, and there is already one red marker in the name of Straight Outta Fiji. That means they are also on the verge of getting eliminated, and that will completely depend on what sort of gameplay that Group B and Group D will be coming in. But some teams have now started making a comeback. Talk about Team ZeroDeath, Team Vengeance. But is it too late? Is it too late? That is going to be the question of the hour, because they are still pretty much 25 points away from where they need to get secure in order to cross that threshold that has been set by obviously the team standing on the 16th position. But now it is a time where Team Godfather, which just in the last game itself, we saw it was a total of 10 points that they did secure, and also it was a tricks. And now, since in this very last day, their bell has been rung up.
Oh, yes.
But the question still remains: is it too late?
Well, we do have 3 more opportunities. We do have 3 more games remaining for these dudes, and eventually, if they play their cards right, maybe it might not be too late. With that, we've got 1 game taken care of. Before we jump into the map of Miramar, we're going to go on a short little break. Stick around. We're going to be right back.
Here we go now.
Hello and welcome to PUBG Mobile Club Open 2021. All thanks to, of course, this wonderful event that is allowing these teams to bring in some perfect plays. But today being the final day, the last day, where indeed a few of the teams, top 16 that is, are going to be moving on forth to play the finals. But sadly, a few of them we are going to have to say bye to. But for that, we are looking at the schedule where indeed we've got 3 games still remaining. In that, first game certainly worked in favor of Darksyde, where it was a perfect domination that was showcased from other teams, but Darksyde just reigned and supreme by the eventuality of the entire saga. But as we move on along to the play that is going to be showcased, we shall see what team is going to be that will come in to chime and showcase a perfect domination on Miramar. Again, with that, Ankit, we've got Illuminate in the top 16 now.
Exactly.
We have, of course, 4 Godawari fighters who were on that 17th position. Perhaps this time around, it could very well be 4 Godawari fighters who might chime in along and take a bet at the top 16 mark. But we shall have to see if the play is going to be allowed for them.
That can be a case. We've got to see certain teams have now started making an upwalk marker in terms of the total points and kill points and the placement points. Getting total accumulated is what the teams is looking at the moment, and some teams are really looking good at the start of the game. We talk about Darksyde. I mean, it was just the start of the day of this wildcard region when the first day they got the chicken. I mean, and then it was a big slump, a big void that has now been again filled with one more chicken, and thus resulting themselves finding them in a good position. But Team Ronak, this is also one good team. Since we have talked a lot about the teams that are making a comeback and are on the third half of the chart, but teams like Team Ronak, Darksyde, certain teams that have really been consistent in terms of the total placement points and in terms of the total kill department that is concerned. And since one good game that we just saw them getting that hashtag 2 finish, thus resulting themselves in the top 8th position, the question still remains, what sort of leap? Big leap, I would say, because the point difference between them and the team that is standing above them is not pretty much. So they really have a decent chance, they really have an impeccable chance to make a close in the last 3 matches. That will obviously gonna be of the Miramar, Sanhok, and the final will be of the Erangel itself.
Absolutely, but in that, of course, we are going to be hoping that Illuminate True and the likes of the teams who find themselves in the top 16, as we did just see Darksyde moved on to that 16th position as well. They also have to keep on grinding it every single game. But with that, let's jump into the Miramar map itself. It is going to be the flight path that will be dominating our screens now.
That is on from the area of Los Leones downtown towards the area of Torre Humada is where the flight path is really making a way slowly and steadily. If we just talk about that, and it seems that everyone will be in their safe comfort as Los Leones, the big city, is in contestation, and I would love to see how many teams will be jumping off, because in the past itself, in yesterday's gameplay, we saw some of the good gameplays coming in from around the areas of Los Leones, and then the circle tended to shift towards the area of Impala. It was twice, obviously in 2 different regions, and then it was an all easy affair for the teams that were really resisting on that Impala side, and then the circle went above them. But for the moment, it is going to be TGF that is going to be obviously for the team Godfathers that have now slowly and steadily made their move onto the area of the southern side, the small little island that is going to be Minas del Sur. All the 4 players in 4 different split is where they're standing at this moment. But brother, the question still remains, what sort of gameplay entity Nepal is going to be bringing, because this is also one good team that we need to talk about, because the gameplay and the promising start with which the team has come up, not only in these gameplays, obviously in yesterday's and day before yesterday's gameplay where they were finding themselves in some sort of sublime form. This is a go-to team to have your safe bet upon, and since it is one team that really looks good and the circle is not favoring them, it seems that the fight might erupt. Maybe not in the area of Los Leones, because for the moment it is going to be Eliminate Crew along with them and one more uninvited enemy in the neighbor, the closer proximity, and that is obviously going to be of one team that is going to be entity Nepal. But Chuma Sera, here we go, the fight is already on. 72 just is the only meter, that means the fight might erupt. Not the best of the best loot. Pots, I don't even have a level 1 first aid. Nobi, those level 1 health, obviously those helmets and those vets, no medkits whatsoever. He needs to take the fight. He has that shotgun in his hand, try to take the fight. 1 tap, 1 finish. There we go.
Wow, talk about tap, talk about play. That was perfect coming in from Pot Eye, but he is going to have to recreate that magic again. Previous time he tried that, of course, he had the health working in his favor. This time, the health is not there, and as he tries to push on along, of course, he has been able to confirm that 1 kill for himself, so that is, of course, going to be working perfectly for him. But it seems like he was able to push on along and was able to get a little bit of a damage onto the players of SCL NVS, and now it is going to be his teammates who will chime in along to give him that support, and it is going to be ZeroDeath's player who have been brought down onto their knees, but a kill has not been confirmed as an SCL NVS try and create a perfect flank against the players of ZeroDeath. Eventually, it seems like ZeroDeath are going to try and reign in supreme. For now, it is only just that 1 kill. It is not going to work out for Ike because he was just not able to get that perfectly set up nade into the compound itself, and it is ZeroDeath who get the better half of this fight. And perfect state of affair is being showcased from the side of ZeroDeath, where Pot Eye is down, Glitch Bio is down, but it is Tango who is just completely reigning supreme. He's brought down to his knees. It is thanks to, of course, the way that was shown in the gameplay that was shown in from the side of Aik, and eventually he will be the one who will get the better half of the fight. ZeroDeath have been sent, and it is going to be 4 kills confirmed for the side of SCL NVS, but at a cost. Because they have also lost 2 of their players in the first 3.5 minutes of the game itself.
Not a start team ZeroDeath was looking for. You remember them getting a lot of confidence. They were trying to gatekeep the situation, trying to bridge keep the situation in the game of Erangel, and then they were looking pretty strong at that point. but certainly this is not one good game that they were looking for. SCLNVS on the other hand side, they really didn't have a good game in this last game itself, and since they are sitting on the 9th spot at this moment, the start they were looking for 4 kills already onto the name. That means 4 points. Now everything resides upon them. How are they going to be converting these kill points and all the rest of the 2 players into the placement points? That is going to be one more thing to talk about, but for the moment it is again going to be Darksyde that are into the finding themselves in the safe areas of these fortified compounds, and they will be looting for sure. But a start has been made. For Darksyde, and the bigger question from my side will be how far is the leap they will be making throughout the course of the day, because it's just the first game, 3 more to go, and this being the second one.
Absolutely, they have been able to accumulate 66 points for themselves, Darksyde, but right below them is of course 4 Godawari fighters, as we were talking about it, and 4 Godawari fighters are going to have to try and bring in those points for themselves to be able to topple over the side of Darksyde. But eventually that is the same thing that Darksyde is going to be working towards, to get as many points accumulated for themselves to confirm their spot and slot in the top 16 itself. Right now it is going to be CNT, a team that is right below 4 Godawari fighters on the 3rd page of the overall. That means they are on the 18th position, but they are a few points shy of the placement as well as the kill department, and that is something that is not working for this team's favor. Last game also did not, as they tried to make that late rotation. Eventually they were caught off guard and they were completely pincered down thanks to ZeroDeath's onslaught, and this time around this time around they're going to have to play their cards right if they want to be able to get those points working for them, because every single game is an opportunity, and if you lose those opportunities, then you lose the entire saga, you lose the entire story, and eventually the journey is going to stop for you right in there, and the PMCO will be done for you. But as the journey is not yet completed, we are just part of the second game. This day is still not done. The day is still not complete, and NEPALZ is the team that is on our screens who are trying. Last game also we did see them try and bring in a decent amount of affair, but it seems like based on the minimap there is going to be another team that will be contesting that exact same area, and that's going to be none other than Entity Nepal. What a perfect spray and push that has been created from the side of Entity Nepal. It is a perfect 2v2 situation that has been created between NEPALZ and Entity Nepal, but who will be the one who will reign in supreme? Because the way Entity Nepal is bringing in this fight, they are looking so much in control, with the flank angles being absolutely in favor of Entity Nepal.
Mahang again, Mahang leading the charge for Entity Nepal. Beat the game of Erangel or the Miramar or the Sanhok. He's the one that really thrives on his gun potentials, and not only thrives, he is the one that successfully brings the player down. And since now STHE from the side of Nepal is knowing the exact position of Mahang, it will be a tough call for him to actually get himself away. But at the right point, at the right moment, he just saw that animation, that hands being flipped from the sides of STHE from the sides of Nepal, and since he dodged that grenade, just the 20 amount of damage he was able to secure. But now it is going to be a 4v4 fight, as now slowly and steadily Mahang along with his teammates from the backhand side are coming closer in closer proximity. Grenade is already there, but this saves him thanks to that, obviously the adrenaline and those drinks and those painkiller he's used, else he could have been easily pinned down, and that could have been one bad thing that can go into favor with Mogambo getting a lot of shots. It is going to be Pute that has been fall down, but the trade is on, and the trade is brought down from STHA.
What a play this is turning out to be, where Nepal are trying to bring down and pincer down the players of course, Entity Nepal. In doing so, they have already been able to confirm that one kill for themselves, where Sushi is on to a perfect approach against the players of Entity Nepal. Entity Nepal not looking too good, because another player has been knocked, and it's going to be Star who has been able to get a better half of this fight. A perfect play and spray is being showcased from NEPALZ, and this is a team that is finding themselves at the bottom of the totem pole, but the play that they are showcasing right here against the players of Entity Nepal, who find themselves on the first page of the overall ranking, is absolutely ludicrous. Nepal's not losing even a single player, but certainly confirming 2 points for themselves, and Mahang is going to be on the run for the moment. It is not looking good for Entity Nepal, as they did take a fight, but sadly it has backfired, and they end up losing 2 of the players, giving away 2 points towards the side of course, Nepal's. And now it is going to be Mahang along with his teammate that is going to be to try and get this fight, or rather this game, a little slowed down for them, because they are just now been brought down to a 2-man army. Not the kind of play that they wanted, but eventually again when it comes down to their placement, they are in the top 8. They are looking pretty phenomenal in terms of the play, so it will be a-okay even if the game runs away from their situation. But right now, of course, the main priority that they can probably focus on is going to be, well, to get those placement points perhaps, and if they can find themselves in a decent spot to maybe even take a kill or two, because they don't have a kill as of now. But what an amazing fight and strat and synergy that was showcased from the side of NEPALZ in that fight.
Indeed, I mean, no two ways doubt about that. But certainly NEPALZ, the one with the wiser and most strategic one, getting the better half of all these fights. But look at the circle. I mean, 30% of the total circle, the arc is completely away from even the visibility of the map, thus resulting a lesser sort of breathing space. And I guess this is the first time in this PMC region, I mean, the circle has shifted to some sort of different directions, where water treatment and critter field might be the area of contestation in the last half of the circle. And certainly this is where the curve ball has been thrown away from teams, for most of the teams that are trying to come in from the southern side. Talk about IET, talk about TGF, talk about SCLs, talk about CNT, Vengeance. I mean, a lot of team, and in that it is going to be obviously Trex that are now making a longer rotation. They are trying to go into the Blues. This is going to be a tough affair for them, because the Blues will be making a big dent. But La Cobreria is just up for grab. If any team, just imagine for a Fiat 10, if they wants them to be in their control, this is one thing that can happen in the favor. But Team Ronak, again, sitting in the dead smack center is where that can happen to be their game. Entity Nepal onto the inside. They are rather relying upon to be in the center lines. So circles will holding all those small little compounds is where they are finding for the moment, with obviously 4F, the team of 4 Godawari fighter, as you perfectly mentioned before the start of the game. This is also one team that really need to have an influential gameplay, and in that doing so, they are finding themselves on the eastern half of the circle. Segregation is where they are this moment, all 4 players, 4 different split, and since it's still the 10-minute of the mark, 10 minutes out of circle, they still have a lot of opportunity to do so.
Well, yep, that is so true indeed. But as the game progresses on along, this is a team that was reigning in supreme in terms of the kill department that they showcased in the previous game. This is going to be none other than Illuminate Crew, who did find themselves in the 14th position, on the 14th position rather, and now as they make their rotation and get themselves into the comfort of the zone itself, we shall have to see what sort of a placement will they find into the zone itself, because again, the teams are going to be pincering them down as well as the others, because that is what the objective of the game is. You see a team moving across your compound, you pincer them down, you get those points working for yourself. That is how you sustain and move on along from one placement point, one kill point to another, and then eventually move on into the top 16. And that is where we see Trex, a team that has made a really long and late rotation, coming in along and trying to chime in to get those kills working for them. Perhaps for now, we haven't really, in the previous game as well, did not really see Trex bring in a lot of points for themselves in terms of the kill department or the placement for that matter as well. This is a team that will certainly try and do so, because well, they find themselves pretty much in the same position that NEPALZ does. That is going to be at the end of the leaderboard. On the other side, it is going to be Team Ronak who find themselves in the center of the zone that are taking on the fight against the players of Henry Nepal, and it is going to be none other than Mahang who is the one onto the receiving front now. The compound is his, yes, the safety net is created for him, but he has given the information away to Team Ronak, and now Team Ronak can very well be keeping their eyes out towards that compound, and as soon as Mahang makes a rotation from that area, he will be caught. There's no two ways about it. And Team Ronak looking really dominating force in this circle, because they seem to have entire information about so many teams who are making rotation in this region.
Team Ronak is not only into the centralized position, rather they are holding some sort of plain areas that are completely elevated in terms of the 360 angle that is really helping them to get a lot of info. And in that, it was Mahang that really is the one guy I need to admit that he is the one guy that really has a good luck in terms of the luck that is factoring him for the moment, because just the 20 HP is what he was surviving. Just one lead, even onto his chest, even onto his hand, even onto his leg, could have resulted in him taken down. But for the moment, not talking about luck, it is going to be the complete sheer skill with which 4 Godawari fighters are moving into the circle. 628 meter is what they need to travel, and since they have given a lot of sound cues and they have spotted down some of the Coop RVs and some of the vehicles that are spawned around those areas, and that has been the case, it seems that now 4 Godawari fighters will be on a move, are on a move rather, but it is going to be eliminate crews on fire OP. That is the one that is looking to get more and more kill, with Sese Hang getting a lot of damage onto his body. It seems that he needs those patch up things that really need to be quick. But water treatment is where all the teammates from the sides of IH2 is funding, and it seems that they are just waiting for one more shift, and if the shift goes away from them, then they will be making a rotation. But Godfathers, Basmi, again finding themselves in the open situation. The last game itself, Godfather got a 10 total points in this match. Will they be able to repeat? They have to repeat. They have to repeat because they are lagging in terms of total point system, and if they don't in this match, it will be a tough chance and a tough call for them.
It will be a game over for them, simply put, because it is the PMCO's semi-finals final day, and if the teams do not find themselves in the top 16, it is bye-bye to them. And as the journey continues on, the Godfather have not been able to showcase some plays that would work in that team's favor to find themselves in the third page of the leaderboard as well. So it is tough luck situation for them, as they have been, the stats rather I should say, have not been favoring them, but eventually now they find themselves against the players of CNT, and it is going to be the players of TGT who are getting the better half of this fight. But what a play. What a play. I mean, this could have been a fight that TGT could have created for themselves, but they were caught off guard, and sadly, even though they have the advantage of the hill, they certainly do not have the advantage of the skill that has been showcased on the side of CNT, and CNT are just reigning in supreme with that one kill that they were able to confirm against the players of TGT. Now they're going to be bringing in that onslaught in the same force and destruction against the players of Fear 10, and Fear 10 are also busy taking a fight against TGT itself. So an interesting play being created where TGT is not being faced by mercy, so to say. It is just onslaught again and again and again against them.
Exactly. But Freaks, I really wanted him to do something different, and since the look at the courage, look at the courageous move with which Fear 10 is going in, and this is because a lot of horrendous spray has been coming from the sides of CNT, especially from the sides of Freaks, because they still not even give one single damage onto the players of Fear 10. Eventually, it was for 10 seconds at least, but both the players were in the open, but they were in a moving buggy, they were in the open Mirado, they were trying to make a move, but since it was not a good spray that was coming in, thus resulting themselves finding in a good position that they are for the moment. But the circle has gone for the central shift, and in that it is going to be other team that will be trying to gatekeep the situation. Team Ronak pretty much close to where 4 GF teams are actually positions, and it is going to be a tough call obviously for 4Fs, and it is going to be one knock that has straight away come into the favors, and with obviously the teams falling down slowly and steadily, it is not looking good as Team Ronak is on a move. They are on a roll on a different direction. It is going to be the two players surviving for the sides of NTT. Nepal are trying to take the fight against Vengeance. We have to still wait for that, how these fights are actually panning out, but Ronak is completely in open situation. He might get a lot of shots from different directions, but since he is now getting himself into that patch up approach, he needs to be standing on 100 HP. But for 4 Godawari fighters, it is going to be a long call.
Well, it's not looking easy. It's not looking good for the side of 4 Godawari fighters indeed, because it is going to be Team Ronak that is reigning in supreme with the nade parade as well as the sprays that they're bringing to the table against the team. But eventually, when it comes down to this team of 4 Godawari, they need those points. They need those points. They need to get into the zone. They need to get into the zone not only with those placement points, but with some kill department points as well, because this team is finding themselves so very close to the top 16 marker. But on the other tangent of the game itself, it is going to be SCL Envious taking a fight against the players of Vengeance, and they have been able to win it down against the players of Vengeance indeed, and in doing so have Vengeance have lost 3 of their man already. It is going to be Illuminate also taking on a fight against the rotation coming in from the side of 4 Godawari. Eventually, 4 Godawari will be lost to the cause on the 13th position with 0 kills confirmed for themselves. Certainly not the way 4 Godawari fighters imagined this game would roll out to be. With that, they've only got 2 more games and 2 more opportunities remaining for the day to get themselves in the top 16. On the other tangent, Illuminate crew, they are not wanting to stop. They found themselves in the 14th position and now are absolutely trying to confirm their slot in the top 16, and as they do so, they are just going with the one motto, and that one motto is aggression, force, domination and destruction, and that is what Illuminate crew is showcasing again and again.
The best sort of defense is what the aggression shows for them. And since Illuminate crew, as we just know, all the 4 players in a different run, look at the 4 orange markers, and that suggests that is going to be obviously of I8 crew. But since now the player are falling themselves away from the situation, since they are going to favor the zone, it is there's still a moment there where they are standing on the edge of the circle. Water treatment is where they are standing for the moment, but the important ridge is now guarded by all the 4 players. The 4 warriors from the sides of Illuminate crew are just crewing themselves up into all these area. Now they will be cruising to an area where NEPALZ have the better half of themselves. Do the players from the sides of Eliminate Crew have some sort of information that it is going to be NEPALZ players that have already found themselves in a position? If not, they will be on the receiving end.
Well, for now, again, on the flank angle for the side of Illuminate, they need to be careful because the Legends are right there. And if the Legends make a push against them, that is going to be annihilation for Illuminate Crew. But will it be enough? We shall have to see. Will the onslaught brought in from the side of the Legends be on point is what they need to be, but it's easier said than done. As of now, they are making a rotation, of course, from that edge of the zone compound that they found themselves in towards a better half of the entire saga to convert the fight in them. And the circle has moved away, and the circle is now going to be pushing teams to move on to the southern part. And talking about the southern part itself, it is going to be none other than Trex's player who finds himself in the center pretty much of the zone and in the comfort of the zone. But again, when it comes to Trex's players, they have not been a part of a single fight. They are just trying to work towards those placement points, and eventually the fights that we are looking at, it is going to be NPC's Rage who was trying to bring in an onslaught, but what a perfectly set up block that was from the side of Darksyde, and a domination showcased from Darksyde is now going to be retaliated against NPC's Sandeep.
STHA on a roll. STHA on a roll. Domination mode is where he is standing for the moment. 3 kills is where he is standing for the moment. And now he is trying to create that flank angle with the help of the smoke and just trying to get the better half of the ridge, the compound. It is not an easy task to actually fetch that up, but they have to make sure that they will be giving you SCL, NVS on the other hand side. They are on a move, just trying to make a rotation between all these teams. This is also not going to be tough affair, as now they will be hounded from 3-4 different directions from the bullets that is coming in. But now the onslaught has come in, but Sandeep falls down. That means the man with that M249 in his hand falls down, and not only that, it is going to be Darksyde. The player are falling down slowly and steadily, but they have retaliated in fashion, as now Claws has brought 2 knockdown. This resulting Rage, the only player surviving, and eventually it will be a time where Darksyde will be giving the revival first, because certainly it is not a case where Rage's players Sandeep and Smart are in the closer vicinity. That makes them a very susceptible team for the moment. Praval is trying to finish the players off, and the smoke eventually invites the leads to be prepared onto the same direction. Smart is finding himself into this small little bush, if we just talk about that, but he is the lucky guy. But is he lucky enough, because Rage is on to that barrage that has been created from side of Praval. Praval continues off. Mahan goes down onto a different direction, as now Team Ronak is facing a head-to-head fight against Entity Nepal.
Well, Team Ronak has certainly been taking on a lot of fights during this saga that's been going on between those players of NPC, but eventually when it comes down to Entity Nepal, they were at the receiving front throughout the entirety of it, and it is going to be, of course, Team Ronak to thank that Entity Nepal has been sent back. With 7 teams remaining, it is Darksyde who are trying to once again reign in supreme and will be the reason for the demise of SCL NVS. With that, 6 teams remaining, this is looking absolutely ferocious for the side of Fear 10 as well, because they've been able to accumulate 7 kills for themselves. NPC getting eliminated, of course, leaving us down to 6 teams. We do have Trex's one final player, Chauhan, right there up top, but he is just going to be working towards those placement points. He has not yet confirmed any of the kills for himself, and not is his story, nor is his journey. But on the other front, talking about the kill department, it is looking like absolutely annihilating play that has been showcased from the side of Fear 10, where all 4 players are alive, and it is going to be 7 kills confirmed for them. But now, as they try and get into the zone, it is not going to be an easy task, because teams are ready, teams are prepped, and teams are going to be absolutely barraging the position and placement of so many of these teams. And eventually it is NEPALZ who find themselves on top of on fire right there, and eventually it is going to be Illuminate Crew who find themselves with just that 1-man army remaining for them. And NEPALZ have absolutely figured out where that one final player from Illuminate Crew is, and he is certainly going to be Cobra OP, but for how long? He is certainly trying, but this is not going to work out for him. It is going to be the end for Illuminate Crew right there, thanks to NEPALZ onslaught, and this is where NEPALZ have been able to dominate with 7 kills for them as well. And Darksyde on the other front is now going to be bringing in a third party for NEPALZ.
One more chance for Darksyde to get this converted into chicken. With all the 4 players standing for the moment, it is going to be a tough call, because one now goes down. The onslaught is coming in from the sides of Team Ronak, as well as now TF10 relays on the receiving end. The players are being slaughtered down, as now Team Ronak 6 kill is on the front. They are right on the go, with someone getting one more knock. It is going to be a tough call for fragger number 1 from the sides of Fear 10. Will he be finding himself into that open situation or not? Because Vailord is on a roll. He is finding himself behind all those ridges, but certainly under the crosshair of Team Ronak, and thus resulting him him going down, but Fear Lord kills has been secured thanks to that backfire that is coming from the side of Alcoholic, and that means Alcoholic is on domination mode with 3 kills.
Wow, wow, what a play this is turning out to be indeed. And in that, we do have Team Ronak who are still part of this saga. They have, of course, Ronak down himself, but he will hopefully be given a revival, whereas other 3 players are just completely trying to dominate against the players, against their opponents. And of course, it is the utilities that are being utilized from the side of Team Ronak, and it is the smoke that they are certainly working towards to get a better half of that entire situation. On the other front, it is going to be Darksyde who are also trying to reign in supreme. These 3 teams remaining have so many kills for themselves. It is looking absolutely abysmal for any of these teams to be able to take that chicken dinner, because it is Team Ronak who are absolutely in control. It is Darksyde also in terms of the domination who are absolutely in control as well, but it is going to be the sprays that will be showcased right here, and it is easy trying to dominate against the players of Darksyde. Through the smoke, actually, he's trying to get the better half and bring in the X factor, but will that wall be enough? Because as the team of Team Ronak take on this onslaught and fight, NEPALZ could very well try and chime in along, but it is going to be Alcoholic that will not allow NEPALZ to even move away from that rock, and in doing so, Nade Parade is what they've been able to showcase against the team of NEPALZ, and has brought down them to the knees with 1 player surviving, will not be able to do much, and Sushi goes down, thus goes down the team of NEPALZ, and just 2 teams remaining. Darksyde have been brought down to a 2-man army, and it is not looking easy, because after all, when it comes down to Klaus, he has been able to get 1 more kill confirmed for himself. 7 kills total to this team, but Klaus, he is not looking good in terms of the health. It is quite a lot of damage that they've been able to take, and Team Ronak is just completely going to be dominating in this fight from the King of the Hill situation. They have been able to absolutely rectify the mistakes that they were making in the previous games, and this is where Team Ronak is showcasing what they did on day number 1 of the entire saga. This is where things have turned into quite a chaotic mess, and Easy, being the man who is going to be given that revival towards his teammate Ronak, but have decided to not do so and just completely push on to the players. The final players of Darksyde have been eliminated. Team Ronak getting a chicken dinner. What a play. What an incredible play. I mean, as I was just mentioning, this is a team that brought in the onslaught on day number 1 on Erangel itself with this sort of performance. They had amazing kill department working in their favor in that game as well, and this time around 15 kills is what they walk away with. 3rd in the overall ranking with 30 points from this game. This team is looking like they are going to be dominating as soon as they reach towards the regional finals itself. But nothing taken away from Darksyde. I mean, Darksyde, they were being pincered down through the smoke, and that is something that, of course, they did not anticipate. And one more thing that was working in Team Ronak's favor, well, it was, of course, the fact that Team Ronak had the King of the Hill situation working for them. So 2 games done, but what a perfect play that was showcased. I mean, incredible. Absolutely perfect sprays.
30 total points on single match. Team Ronak right there on the top 3, and now they're contesting. Obviously, Paradox is one team. The points team still remains unfetchable. That point still remains untraceable. But certainly, Team Ronak has brought the charm for the players. And obviously, the player, especially the Summer Ronak, everyone was just looking so impeccable. But for the moment, we are heading towards the most valuable player. We'll get to see which is going to be the one player that really had the charm going on for himself. And obviously, for the teams, we'll get to see. And then we will be getting to see Summer from the sides of Team Ronak. 3 kills is what was he able to secure, but 1132 damage is what he was able to dish out. 297 just the healing done, but 6 assists, and that makes him the most valuable player from this match, and thus resulting him getting close towards that. And he was the one player that really played the pivotal role in terms of team getting the chicken. And for the moment, it is going to be Team Summer, Ronak Summers, that is also on the top player list with Alcoholic and Ronak. So a lot of players just stepping up in the very second game of Miramar.
Absolutely, and for now, it is going to be top 5 players coming in. And in that, Summer certainly had a wonderful turn of events for himself with 3 kills, 1132 total damage that he was a part of. And as the conversation pushes on along, it is going to be Alcoholic from the side of Team Ronak, who has moved on with 6 kills, 735 damage. So that showcases just absolute brilliant conversion of fights into kills, and that is, of course, for the side of Team Ronak. But as the conversation moves on, we are going to be looking at NPC's longest distance kill. 589 meters.
Are you kidding me?
What? 589 meters snart. That was a lucky shot, or wow, okay.
What is that?
That was missed by me, but amazing stat working in for the
I mean, you just got rendered above 300 meters. what is 589 meter? I mean, that is what good thing that can eventually happen in the favor. But certainly, if that is the case, that is one good thing that can happen in the favor, and that will be one good thing that can come into the favor. But Team Ronak getting the 15 total kills in terms of total placement points, making total 30. Darksyde total of 19, and some really good teams that really made it look possible. Team Godfather was the one that really missed the mark with 4 Godawari fighters. The team was really making to look a comeback, but Vengeance was also the one that with just 1 kill points, with Legend getting 1 more. Team ZeroDeath is one good thing that really wanted themselves in favor. But moving on along, it is going to be the overall ranking, with we get to see Paradox still right there at the top.
Absolutely, because right now this is like an interesting turn of events for the team, where of course this is going to be Team Ronak that moved on towards that 3rd spot. Of course, they are looking perfect in terms of the chicken dinners that they've been able to accumulate. 3 chicken dinners. 3 chicken dinners is what they've been able to get, and they still have 2 more games remaining. So this is going to be a play if they can come on towards the 2nd position altogether itself. And as we move on towards the next page of this overall ranking, we of course do have Illuminate Crew, who have moved up 1 slot as well. From 14th to the 13th position is what they find themselves on, with 78 points. Now again, their journey will be pushing on to take on the players of Fear 10, and onwards they march. And as we go on to the 3rd page, 4 Godawari fighters are still there, are still on that 63 point
no green
and 17
no
position.
Red. No green, no red in the name. But that means they're
Just
still
there.
standing. I mean, they are there, they are making the move, they are there, and they're making their presence feels. But they really need all these points, because 60 total point is not enough for them at the end of the day. Eventually it will be Group B and D that will be getting all their 2 games done. But before that, it is also some teams that are making a move. NPC, 1 green signal. That means now they are finding themselves on the 3rd half of the chart, which slowly and steadily the players are coming closer towards them. It is gonna be a loss case for the Team Godfather, because just the 35 total points that has been able to secure from the 10 matches, 2 matches. How far are they gonna be going? So because at the end of the day, you really don't want to end yourself in the 4th half of the chart, because it's still far. It's still far. If you want to find yourself in the 1 to 16, it's still far. But at the end, you just really want those influential gameplay at the end of the day. If that happens, Team Godfather, this is one good thing that they will be taking away from this PMCO.
Absolutely, and with that, we have a 2nd game taken care of. 2 games remaining, Sanhok and Erangel. Just 2 games more that these teams are given the opportunity from, and if teams that especially going to be like, for example, for Godawari, if they are going to be able to capitalize on this situation or not, we shall have to see. But for the moment, the 2 games that have taken place have been absolutely ferocious and just dominating force from one game to the other. But now it is time, before we jump into Sanhok, to take a short little break. We'll be right back.
Here we go now.
Hello and welcome once again to PUBG Mobile Club Open 2021. This is of course the wildcard region where we are on the final day, day number 6 of this entire saga, and in doing so, these teams have been absolutely ferocious throughout the day. But now, as we jump into Sanhok, we shall have to see which team will be reigning supreme.
Yep. The start of the game, it was Darksyde with the getting Erangel, a chicken on the dad, and then it was her second finish on the game of Miramar, and then it was again a team Ronak getting in. But right off the go, we are jumping right on to this match where the flight path is already on its way, where we're getting to see a lot of teams jumping, and then it is an early jump from the sides of Darksyde towards the area of Bantai and Camp Charlie is where they are jumping and heading towards with the Eliminate crew still steadily moving towards the area of ruins, and obviously ruins area, it is going to be an easy task for them fighting themselves in the same proximity, in the same position. It is going to be but CNT, but still far away. I mean 500 to 600 meter is what the distance between both the teams, and Painan, I mean thankfully this time it is under no contestation.
For now, that certainly is going to be the case. But eventually, when we do know, when it comes down to the map of Sanhok, things are absolutely going to get crazy because there are so many third parties that end up taking place. There are so many fights because of the map being so small as well that end up taking place in the first few minutes of the game itself. Hopefully this time around it will be that sort of an aggressive start from these teams. Eventually, when it comes to the early contestation, it is looking like a bleak opportunity because so many of these teams have found themselves their own different spot. But as soon as I say that, it is going to be the Legends taking on the players of none other than SCL NVS towards the Paradise Resort itself, and it is going to be Ferwala who has been brought onto his knees. He will be given that revival, but Mr. Legend, Mr. Tampe from the Legend is so close. He is going to be absolutely on point, taking down another player. What a pray and spray this is turning in favor of course. Wow. The Legends are in control. The Legends are absolutely dominating SCL NVS. And one by one, 2 kills have already been confirmed for the side of Legends Us, and SCL NVS not off to a good start. They find themselves at a very, very precarious situation because they are not in control of this entire saga. And eventually, when it comes to the way the Legends are playing, they are being so very destructive and dominating that it is going to be the end of SCL NVS right here from the looks of it. With that, only one more player, and it is it.
It is certainly going to be it, as now Faik 98 will be taken care of, as now 3 kills already to the name. With Carl going down, he will be getting the revival for sure, but one more player is still left from the sides of SCL NVS, and that is going to be Ahan from the backhand side, and he only has one option than to retreat from the same direction. Carl was the one that was just brought down. He tried to finish off the player, and in doing so, it was in the close range fight. He did fall down, but SCL NVS, as just mentioned, I mean, they are in a really tricky situation because before this match, they were on the 9th, before the start of obviously Miramar itself, they were on the 9th position since Miramar was not the game, and since the team on 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th and 16th have started gaining a lot of momentum, it is a chance that might SCL and VS slip down. We have to still wait for that, but what sort of performance the team brings in and the rest of the lobby brings in. But for the moment, SCL and VS certainly not looking good and not in a settled position if we have just to talk about that. But one team that is just looking so sublime in a complete control, be it with the game of Erangel, be it with the game of Miramar, that is going to be of Darksyde. And now Camp Charlie having a good control of it. 818 meters is what they need to travel, and it seems the circle has again gone for that hybrid shift either onto the northern side or onto the northeastern side. It will be an easy task for this team to make a move.
Absolutely will be. For now, Darksyde are looking absolutely in control throughout the day, as they were able to get some perfect plays for themselves in the previous 2 games. But now, as they move on towards the 3rd game, which is Sanhok, we shall have to see what sort of an ending will it be. For NEPALZ also, it was looking really, really good. But sadly, when it comes to the game that they are showcasing, it is a bit too late maybe for them, because the point difference between them and the teams in the top 16 is so, or rather 16th spot itself is so massive that it's not looking easy for NEPALZ to be able to just dominate and bring themselves into the top 16. But they are playing the game right. They are showcasing and not absolutely accepting the fate itself. They are utilizing whatever opportunity they are a part of, and most certainly converting that into a lot of perfect sprays that have been showcased from the side of NEPALZ. But as the game continues on, the map, the zone has moved on towards the northern side, and this is where things are going to get that much more wonderful for NPC, because NPC find themselves in an area that is going to be up towards Mongnai that has no contestation whatsoever at all, no team around in the vicinity whatsoever at all, and that could be wonderful wonderful turn of events for NPC, but from the southern side, there are so many teams that are going to be making a rotation that we can genuinely expect a lot of them being caught off guard during that rotation that they will be making itself. For now, it is Darksyde from the southernmost part of the map making that rotation, and right next to them, of course, is going to be Fear 10, who are going to get the audio cues if Darksyde continues on in those vehicles. It is, as soon as I said that, Ghost getting off of his vehicle and slowly and steadily just going to get into the zone. Before getting into the zone, trying to get as much of information as he possibly can. NPC towards the northern part of towards Mognai are finding themselves, as I was just mentioning, busy with the loot, but of course they can relax, they can chill, because there's absolutely no team around them for now at least, or for the next 3 to 4 minutes as well. They are going to be absolutely in comfort of the zone.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, nobody is out there in the position, and all the 4 players having a really good time, really enjoying the loot and really enjoying the tropical rainforest. I mean, the ecosystem is pretty settled at this moment if we just talk about the area of Mongnai. But those early contestation, as we get to see, still not in the fray, as now the circle, as we just got to see, have made an northern shift. And talking about the contestation, it seems that now Vengeance might be again facing the heat of Team Ronak, and if that happens, it is going to be twice in this day when Team Ronak will be trying to pin them down, especially of Vengeance, because the game of Erangel itself, which was Team Ronak that was getting the better half of them in that formation. It was Team Ronak that won the fight completely, and one team that was outplayed, that was of Vengeance. And since Vengeance really didn't have a good day, a bad start for the last 2 games, I really want the team to give some sort of resort, to give some sort of resistance, just trying to take them player down, just have some plan A and plan B, and then if that happens, it is gonna be a good match is what they are away from them. But for the moment, it is gonna be everyone just sitting in their own comfort, with Ashish holding the small little tower for the moment, just in order to get a lot of info is what he is up to, and what for he has been deployed. And it's where the Paradise Resort is, I mean the compounds around the main Paradise Resort is where they are finding for the moment. They are in the circle. That means the fight, it seems, is not preempted, with them going down slowly and steadily. That might be a case where the fight might erupt, but for the moment, it's all peace. It's all peace.
It is. It is. For now, that is what is favoring the map as well. It is such a lovely green map. That is how it should be. Absolutely peaceful, heavenly, till the time you hear those M249, till the time you hear those perfect sprays. And that's absolutely an interesting play right here being created from the side of Rohit, where he is trying to create, not entirely sure, perhaps he's trying to find a different pixel for himself that he could probably stand on upon and get that X factor, perhaps. That is what it seemed like. On the other front, it is going to be pretty much all the teams who find themselves in the comfort of the zone. And this is where we do have SCL and VS, from the looks of it, who are at the receiving end and have been eliminated. The final player who is remaining from the side of SCL and VS has just been dropped, and it is all thanks to, of course, ZeroDeath from the looks of it. But eventually, when you talk about the center of the zone, the Legends find themselves in the Paradise Resort, absolutely in control, and were able to absolutely dominate in the first few minutes itself against the players of SCL and VS. For now, they have not been contested for the zone of for the compound of Paradise Resort, but it is only a matter of time before the other teams decide to do so. As of now, things are slowly, certainly churning along right for so many of these teams, because they do not have any of those contestations taken place. But finally, it seems like the rotation is going to be caught, and it is going to be Vengeance who were trying to make a rotation very close to the side of Team Ronak, and Team Ronak's perfect spray has resulted in actually Juice being dropped down. But eventually, of course, he was able to get very close to his teammates, and was able to get into close proximity to his teammates. Should be getting a revival any minute now, as Ronak tries his level best. Summer creating a flank angle. They are most certainly trying to dominate against Vengeance, but for now the smoke is going to not allow Team Ronak to get any information from that side for now.
Exactly, I mean, smoke has been deployed, but certainly now Team Ronak, after that one knock, I was expecting a straight slam in, but this is certainly not the case. I mean, Team Ronak, they know what sort of strategies they are going upon. It's just not the kill-hungry team. It's also one team that really depends upon the placement, and they know the importance of how placement can actually help them. It's what was one knock that was made in front of Vengeance, and that resulted him and the whole team making a longer rotation from the left-hand side. But now the they now survive on the mercy. If Eliminate Crew spots them down, it is also going to be one big team if they have to face the heat upon. And all the situation, it is going to be Paradise, as just perfectly mentioned. And in that doing so, it is going to be Vengeance player that is an open position. If they try to hold these areas, this will be one thing. But if they don't, they will be going down slowly and steadily. And slowly and steadily talking about, it is going to be Team NEPALZ that is also making an entry from the southern side. And it is Fear 10 that is acting like a big wall, that is acting like a big barrage for them in order to get that team not make a move into the zone. But all of a sudden, CNT's player are also on a roll as we are getting to see some heat maps, and that means one kill has been secured in the favor. I'm just trying to figure out which team it was, but it was certainly their start that they were wanting for CNT. In the last two matches, they really didn't have a good time, but since in just the 10 minutes, I mean, that's still a slow start, but slowly and steadily, the environment is just heating up.
Absolutely, and that was Trex who were at the receiving end thanks to the onslaught from CNT as they made that rotation very close to this compound, resulting in Trex also at the receiving end. An amazing turn of events where CNT are now going to be pushing on against the remaining players of Trex indeed, and in doing so, it is going to be Chauhan who's going to drop down, and this is where fights have finally started taking place. It is going to be Vengeance on our screens where all four players have been perfectly able to maintain that compound, where a few minutes ago we did see Team Ronak were absolutely on point against the rotation coming in from the side of Vengeance, but eventually Team Vengeance were able to get that revival confirmed for themselves and also get themselves in the safety of the compound, and are now eagerly, patiently though waiting for another team to get close to that vicinity on the other front. NEPALZ were at a little bit of a damage, but they have also been given that revival from teammate, and they are in the open as they get into the comfort of the zone. It is only 40 meters to cover, and the teammates have already reached there, so it's going to be no problem whatsoever at all. But now things are going to get that much more trickier, because when it comes to the second zone, alright, this is a-okay, but from there, as the circle is going to be shifting, we shall have to see what sort of a curveball will the circle be showcasing onto these teams. As of now, again, the south is where the teams are, and so many teams coming in from that southern side itself could result in a lot of crazy situations for themselves. It is going to be Illuminate Crew, and right next to them, of course, going to be the players of TGF, which is going to be the Godfathers, and right next to them, of course, the four Godawari. So all these three teams, they need those points, as absolutely no denying it. And in all of that, it is the four Godawari fighters who need the points the most. But it was going to be the team that was again in between that can maybe be the X factor, and that is of course Team Godfathers. But we shall see what sort of a play will TGF be creating this time around.
Indeed, it is going to be TGF that will be on a look, that will be on a move, as now the circle have made a shift, thus resulting Darksyde still playing at the edge of the circle. So now this is one thing. I mean, Darksyde in the last two games of Erangel and Miramar, if you remember, they were holding center line of the circle right of the go. They were on their toes, but since it is a different game, they have different sort of strategies, and they are now playing the edge of the circle. One team that is also struggling to make a move into the circle, and that is obviously going to be a four Godawari fighters, as now in doing so, it is going to be NEPALZ that have completely eliminated a whole squad of I8 crew. I8 crew, I mean, eliminated team really wanted to have the good game in their favor, and just because of that, they were looking to take all these fights, but this was not a game that we supposed to have. I mean, Sanhok, we really expect those X factors, those high fragging gameplays, at least maybe 6 to 7 kills. That could have been the case, but this time NEPALZ today is looking a different team.
It certainly is. There is no two ways about it. And four Godawari fighters also being the X factor against the rotation and push coming in from the side of Illuminate Crew, resulting in, of course, their annihilation. And it is going to be points for the side of NEPALZ, as well as four Godawari fighters who have been able to completely pincer down the rotation from Illuminate Crew. But as they do so, the fights are yet not done. They did take a fight. They were able to be on top, but that is not enough. They need to push on furthermore, and that is going to be from the side of four Godawari fighters. Hopefully, things working in their favor as the zone moves on along, and this is going to be the third zone that is being drawn, and in that, Darksyde being very, very quiet for now. Very cheeky play being showcased from them. They have the compound working for them at the edge, and for now, they are just retaining, or rather trying to retain as much information as they possibly can based on the other team's rotations. Very close to the vicinity is going to be another team into the compound, and finally, it is the Legends and this is where the Legends are being faced with the players of the Godfather team. But Godfather are not bringing in the kind of synergistic play that is required off of them, and in doing so are giving away points to the players of the Legends, with 4 kills already confirmed for them, and a perfectly set up nade from the side of Mr. Tampei has resulted in, of course, Shelby being brought on down to almost 15% of his HP, but eventually, of course, he will be giving that first aid to himself, and now he better be able to get away from that situation, because if Mr. Tampei gets another nade or a Molotov down towards that region, it is going to be really tricky for the side of Godfather team to be able to retaliate against that onslaught.
Paradise Resort being the hotbed of contestation with 4 players and 4 teams from different directions coming in. It is going to be a tough task for Shelby to find himself away from the situation, and he has been found not, but just survives because he was making it quick for him to find themselves in the safe compound again. But the question still remains, how are they going to be surviving in all these situations? And now Circle is again going for the shift, and then if it tends to go shifts away and tilt away from these main compound of Paradise Resort, it is going to be a tough task for them, and it is going to do so. One extreme northwestern shift where Trex players were actually expecting to come in. This is a game, this is a circle, this is a shift that can really turn it in and change the fortune for them, as now rest of the lobby is completely in a left open situation.
Well, CNT's rotation, absolutely loving it with the way and the kind of movement that they have made from the western approach, just jumping into the arena itself, going to be taking on the players from the side of Trex indeed, and this could be a fight that Trex did not anticipate taking on that quickly. Adi has moved away to get himself that much more in the comfort of the center of the zone itself, and is looking pretty much neat for now. NPC also going to be the second zone, but as NPC try and do so, it is Darksyde that will be catching them off guard, and in doing so, it is Darksyde who finally start to reign in supreme. For now, the kill has not been confirmed, but this is perhaps the moment that Darksyde were waiting for to start getting those kills. And as they take on these fights, this is a team that is now slowly and steadily certainly coming on alive and just bringing in absolutely destructive force. And on the other front, it is going to be 4 Godawari fighters also taking on a vengeance approach against the players of Team Vengeance, and have been able to pinch it down one player of Vengeance. A kill has not been confirmed for the side of 4 Godawari fighters, but certainly going to be working towards it. And yep, there we go. It is going to be a kill confirmed for them, and a perfect play is being showcased from the side of 4 Godawari in this game altogether.
Zeems and Salty are really making it looking good for the side of 4 Godawari fighters, and now they're taking the fight. But NEPALZ, as I did mention, they are completely looking differently for the moment. It is going to be now they are being pinned down with Bhutni going down. It seems that Neil is the one that is up to the charge, but STHA from the backhand side is taking the fight against obviously one big team that is going to be obviously of Darksyde. With them getting down slowly and steady, it is going to be Bond that has been completely eliminated, but with one more going down, it is certainly looking not good for again NEPALZ, and they really need to congregate for the moment and really need to find themselves away from the situation. But how this team are going to be making a move, as now Prabal is going to give the revival, and once the revival comes in, it will be Klaus again onto his feet, and then he will try to dominate the situation. Fear 10 Neil completely in the closer vicinity. He has given a lot of sun cues to the players of Darksyde, but Quacha goes down, Prabal goes down. I mean, Darksyde again onto the backhand side where they are not looking strong, with Legend Esports also pinning down from the 2 different angles. It is looking dead end for Darksyde, as now they are being sandwiched from 2-3 different directions.
Absolutely being the case, and it is going to be PSN who are absolutely reigning supreme in this lobby right now. They've been able to, of course, take on the fight against the players of NEPALZ, and now push on that exact same force with that same force against the players of Darksyde indeed. And in doing so, they've been able to just completely dominate, and it is going to be none other than Odin from the side of Darksyde, who is completely in control. And as they try and make that push to get into the comfort of the zone, they are going to be relentlessly brought on down, and the vengeance is going to be confirmed from the side of Darksyde, and a perfect play and spray from Darksyde will result in a perfect spot in fighting from the team of Fear 10. Amazing turn of events on the other front. It is going to be Team Ronak also taking on the players of Trex indeed, as they get into the comfort of the zone. And right now it is the Legends players who are all 4 with 6 kills confirmed, reigning in supreme to get into the comfort of compound, perhaps is what they are looking for, but it is not going to be that easy. On the other front, Fear 10 have been able to accumulate 5 kills for themselves, but Neil, as we did see earlier, was brought down, and eventually his teammate is going to try and give that revival with 11 teams remaining. The Legends sitting at a comfortable 7 kill, getting themselves into the comfort of the zone. And of course now this is where they have found their compound that they were looking for. But will it be enough? Because it is NPC who seem to have control of that area. And it is going to be NPC who are going to be trying to take on that fight for themselves. But Team Ronak on the other front, bringing out players from Trex, now pushing on against the players of CNT, are absolutely being a destructing, havoc creating force. But for the moment, it is not looking easy for CNT as well, as Luxy is the man of the hour who is going to have to try and get this first broken for himself, because he's the only man remaining on the other front. Talking about Team Ronak, it is only Ronak remaining.
Exactly, it is Ronak remaining with summer reading up slowly and steadily. It is looking also bleak with the 207 meter, not much of a first stage, just the one left. There are some certain crates from where he can get the loot acclimatized and segregated for himself. But in all these doing so, it is going to be ZeroDeath that will be getting better half onto the players of CNT, and with them being getting eliminated, we are heading towards 9 teams and just the 18 players alive. That means there are a lot of teams that are just residing onto one player, but it is certainly a chance for ZeroDeath with all 4 players coming in from the east-western side. It is looking good for them, but Vengeance on the other hand side, they have been thrown away and they have made an exit. A lot of team, as we were just talking about, and that are surviving on just 1 players alive. That is going to be of Trex, that is going to be of Fear 10, that is going to be of Darksyde. But one team that we just saw in the frame a moment ago that was coming in from the western side, looking pretty strong, holding the edge of the circle, is going to be obviously of Team ZeroDeath. But here it is Legend Odin that is trying to take down, and what a grenade straight onto the lab, and Zeems has fallen down. That means it is gonna be 4 Godawari fighters onto the receiving end again.
Absolutely, and this is going to confirm it into a kill itself, and Odin looking absolutely comfortable in terms of the way that he's been able to play, with 8 kills confirmed for the team, 4 coming in just from this one dude. So amazing stats being showcased from the side of the Legends indeed, and in doing so, 4 Godawari fighters are left with just that one player remaining on the other front. Trex, final player, it seems like is giving away a lot of information towards the players of Team ZeroDeath, and Team ZeroDeath has their audio had their crosshairs set up towards that same exact shed, but eventually with the smoke coming in, it is not going to be working out. And it seems like in the kill feed, it is Trex's player who was able to get the better half of that fight, and it was the receiving end on the other front. As we move on along, we are left with just 5 teams remaining. NPC taking a fight to the name against the players of the Legends itself. Trex has been eliminated. It is going to be 4 Godawari fighters who find themselves with just that one-man squad and outside the zone, as well as the Legends for now. And it is NPC who are trying to just completely stop the rotation from the Legends to not allow them to get into the comfort of the zone. On the other front altogether, it is Team ZeroDeath taking on the fight against the players of, well, Fear 10.
NPC retaliating in fashion, but for the moment it is going to be Team ZeroDeath smoking. That's completely pinned down the players from the sides of Fear 10 behind that rock, but circle has tended to shift away, but still favoring the edge of the circle is where we get to see those southern sides. Those green markers is where the players from the sides of Team ZeroDeath are positioned, but from the different directions, players from the side of Fear 10 will be coming and making a move into the zone. NPC onto the other hand side, along with Sandeep, is trying to create some flank angle, is trying to create a lot of pressure onto the players of ZD. That is going to be of ZeroDeath, but the compound, the hold that is being held from the side of ZeroDeath is making it possible for them to survive for a long time. But on a different tangent, it is going to be Fear 10 that will be coming in slowly and steadily, and for that it is going to be Smokin that has been taken care of, and he is trading up slowly and steadily, but blood going down. It is certainly not looking good for Team ZeroDeath with 2 players already down, and a charge in from 2 different directions, as now Smart in is moving slowly and steadily into the small little hut with Fear 10 that will also have their eyes set upon this little hut. This is looking good. This is looking good for the rest of the team, but certainly not for ZeroDeath, as now they have been sent to the lobby. This is the final contestation, and we are heading towards the 23 minutes of the circle. 23 minutes on the clock. They are on a charge. Start is on a charge, and he is trying to take the fight with Tommy in his hand. It is going to be a SMG fight where the players from the sides of Fear 10 are just not on 100 HP, but still has given a lot of damage with him being taken down. It is going to be Billard that is the last player surviving with Snart on a charge. He will be taking care of him as he is not trying to hide himself, but from a different tangent, it is going to be the last player that will be the one from the sides of NPC, getting a lot of kill, getting a lot of placement points, and eventually getting the only one objective of the chicken. 18 is where at the point, 18 is where at this moment, how far are they going to be making a jump? How far are they going to be making a leap? We were talking about comeback before one match even starts. That is going to be the Erangel. They have now started making a comeback. 18th position, where are they at the moment? And these 23 points have certainly worked in their favor.
Absolutely, getting that much more closer to, of course, the entire objective of this semi-finals, to be in the top 16, to move on into the regional finals itself. Not an easy task, of course, but NPC have gotten themselves that much more closer on the other front. For Godawari fighters with this game, most certainly will perhaps have to be finding themselves in the top 16 itself, but we shall see when we break it down to the overall itself. But for now, it is the MVP that we need to talk about, because there was just so many players who were doing so very good indeed. But in doing so, it is Odin who takes this chart all by himself with 5 kills, 505 damage that he was able to dish out, along with which only 20 minutes of survival time. He got a perfect stats working for him, and well, he was also part of the healing process as well. So 190 healing done. That means he was also at the receiving end, but eventually it is just those nade parades that were being showcased again and again from Odin that have resulted in the dude getting the MVP.
Wow, 505 damage is where he stands at the moment. A survival time, not a complete survival time, but still enough for him to get awarded with that MVP ranking. As we just talk about this, there were also players that was coming in, but moving on to along, we have the match summary where it is again highest damage that has gone into the favor of Snart on into the favor of NPC. That is going to be a 570 of the teams that we just talk about, the legends. I mean, Odin was reigning supreme until and unless they really had a very bad time making a move into the zone.
Right, that is true. That is true indeed. That is very true. As they tried, they were just hunkered down. But as the journey progresses on along, this is where we will be bringing up, of course, the match ranking as well to showcase what sort of a phenomenal play these teams have been able to make. NPC walking away with a chicken dinner. 8 kills is what that team got. 23 total points. Fiatin following them, of course, with 6 kills. Onto the second position with 12 placement points. Walking out of this game with 18 points for themselves. The Legends Esports with 16, and this is when we move on down towards the 5th team. That is going to be 4 Godawari fighters with 14 points to that team. Now this is going to be working absolutely perfectly for this team, because this team was so very close to the top 16 and now will be able to find themselves in the top 16 itself. But that means one team has been dropped from the top 16 as well. So again, this is bringing it down to a very close state of affair indeed, where till the final game there is still an opportunity for the teams on the 3rd page of the leaderboard to jump on to, of course, the 2nd page of the overall ranking.
That can be the case. That certainly can be the case. I'll just try to move all in all. We are getting to see the overall ranking from 1 to 8. It looks the same as now. Entity Nepal is finding himself and themselves at that 10th total 8 total points, 8 total position points with 103 total points after the end of 10 matches, with Team Ronak slowly and steadily marching towards the top. They still have one more game left. It's just the 7 points that they are away from Fury X NEPALZ, and they really have a good chance of finishing the top 2, and if that happens, this will be a good boost for their confidence.
They most certainly will be, and with that 15th team right there is going to be 4 Godawari fighters. What a phenomenal play it has been. 77 points is what they are at. Above them is going to be Illuminate Crew, so they've been able to catch up to Illuminate Crew on the 14th spot with only 1 point difference. So again, it goes all the way down to the final game that will be played today on Erangel, where we shall see which teams are going to be part of the top 16. But as you move on away from that page towards the 3rd page of the overall, NPC find themselves onto this point right here. Of course, this is the team that has been brought down. That is going to be straight out of Fiji with 12 games, all the 12 games that they have completed. 67 points is what they got, but sadly that is not going to be enough. But once again, when it comes to the teams that are finding themselves on the 18th, 19th and 20th, 21st position, these are the teams who for now, of course, have a lot working for them. If they play their cards right in the final game, could very well jump on into the top 16.
Exactly, they have a chance, as we just got to see 4 Godawari fighters. They are still standing on that 15 positions with a lot of points. 78 is with what they are standing, with 72 on the 16th point. I mean, there's really one chance for NPC. If they try to make a comeback, they can really do so, and that comeback will be so surreal to actually witness and to see with our eyes. And if that happens, I'll be really rooting for them if that happens. But certainly, I mean, there was certain teams that was bound to find themselves slip down from the second half of the chart towards those 17 total points, and straight out of Fiji sadly have become the one team, and it's their demise obviously, because they qualified. I mean, they really found themselves in the top 16, but then it was some good gameplay that have been right off the go. We have getting to witnessing, especially from the sides of Team Darksyde. Then it was Team Ronak, and in this last game no one expected from NPC, but that's what this Battle Royale game is all about.
Absolutely, the X Factor being showcased. With that, we have one final game remaining in the wildcard, but before we jump into that final angle, we are going to have to go on a short little break. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome, of course, to PUBG Mobile Club Open 2021 Wildcard region is where we are at. In that, this is the final day number 6, and boy oh boy, it has been an incredible run throughout the day. With that, let's bring up the schedule and showcase what has been the journey all about. Of course, started the day off on Erangel, where it was Darksyde who reigned in supreme. Second game, it was Team Ronak, where it was pretty much a yin and yang between Team Ronak and Darksyde in the first and the second game. But then the third one was a completely unexpected turn of events where NPC chimed in along to take that chicken dinner. But now we shall have to see what team will be the one who will be reigning supreme. Yes, that is one factor. The other factor being we are looking at the top 16 teams, because the top 16 will move on into the finals itself, and that is what the journey is. But for the moment, the journey can be thinned out because the 16th team and the 17th, 18th, 19th teams, the points are so very close as well. So a good game coming in from either from NPC, who find themselves on the 18th spot, and below them, of course, are going to be the likes of ZeroDeath and whatnots. And these teams, they have showcased that sort of a play style, and now the conversation is, will they be able to do so for one final time in this PMCO? Only time will tell.
That is going to be the question of the hour, because it's top 8, top 7 looks pretty sublime in terms of the total point that they secured. But the question remains, was it enough for NPC and obviously the team that just mentioned, Team ZeroDeath, for them to make a move, to make a steamrolling performance is what I expect from this game of Erangel. And talking about the Erangel, we have the flight path, as now Milta Power is from where the flight path starts, and it is going to be Hospital that is going to be ending this flight path, and a completely dissecting 50-50 dissection is where we head towards the flight path, with obviously the teams are slowly and steadily moving their way towards their favorite top location. Lipovka is where SCL and VS will finding themselves into safe haven, with the Fiat 10 jumping towards the area of Farm Split, or yep, exactly on the area of Milta Power. Milta and Farm Split is where they do love to go towards that side. Somewhere down the line, some players do love to go towards the farm, where 3-1 split certainly works in their favor. But this time it is again the eyes will be set upon how the teams that are making a comeback. Talk about NPC, just in the last game they got that chicken, the chicken that was just awaited for them, and they really made it happen. But obviously Team ZeroDeath, I mean, this is also one team that really stands a chance in order to get that into the top 16, because as we know, we have been telling again and again, the top 16 only qualifies for the next round, and in doing so, certain teams have fallen on. We talk about straight out of Fiji. There was nothing that the team did wrong, but rather it was other team that just had that brilliant gameplay.
No, there's one thing they did wrong. They should have gotten more points. They honestly should have gotten more points. Had they done so, it wouldn't have been a case where their fate is being decided based on how the other teams play. I mean, that's just a fact. That's just a fact. Sad. Sad is what it is, but that's just what it is. And with that, let's move on into the game itself, of course, where we do have the circle being drawn on towards the western front, but on towards the eastern side. It's just going to be SCL and VS who find themselves down towards the Lipovka, as Ankit was mentioning, and down to the Milta Power, Milta region itself altogether, it is going to be Fiat 10. So towards the eastern front, we don't have a lot of teams actually. So many of the teams have moved on towards the zone itself automatically,
as
that this is looking... As if they knew, as if they already anticipated the zone to go on down towards that side. And it is going to be Godfather, 4 Godawari fighters that we can see some sprays coming in and out of. But eventually, when it comes down towards that Rozok, it is all these, and Pachinki, it is so many of these teams who are so close to each other that fights are most certainly going to be the dominating force in this final game.
ZeroDeath need to come above this fight. They really need to bloom in this area of Pachinki. If they fall, it will be a fall of the complete team from this PMCO region, but they really need to come up if they need to take care of this situation. All the grenades and all these Molotovs, they really need to dodge about and dodge off. But certainly, Captain obviously got some real damage in terms of those Molotovs, but certainly there are players on the backhand side. But no, Jeevus brings the first knock, and certainly all of a sudden the tides are changing. 4 different players from the sides are going in with 4 different flank angles, with Jeevus going in onto the first floor, just trying to finish him off. This will be an early blow for the sides of ZeroDeath.
Absolutely. On the other front altogether, we did see in the kill feed, it was Nepal that was bringing in domination against the players of 4 Godawari. So we were talking about 4 Godawari maintaining that position well. It seems like the game has started off against them, but we shall come back to that when when they are on the screens. For now, it is going to be, of course, the side of Team ZeroDeath, who have received, well, 1 kill confirmed against them. That was, of course, Vengeance, that took a perfect spray and confirmed that kill for themselves. But will it be enough to stop ZeroDeath in their tracks? We did talk about it. When it comes down to ZeroDeath, this is a team that if they play it right, they can very well find themselves in the top 16, because they're not that far away, but they need to have a good game. They need to have a really good game in terms of the placement points as well as the kill department, and be able to move on along from this fight on to the next, into the perhaps final zone itself. And that is the kind of good fight that they need to be able to bring in themselves to the opportunity of being in the top 16. But for now, as they try and go up against the players of Vengeance, it seems like Vengeance are completely bringing this team down to their knees. ZeroDeath are trying their level best, but Vengeance have so many flank angles that they've been able to take care of. ZeroDeath do not have that X factor, and especially having lost one of the players itself, it is not looking good. On the other front, it is the team of the Legends who are taking the players of Trex. Even though the Legends did have 2 of their players knocked, Mr. Dampe right there was also waiting for the revival from his teammates. But Vengeance, look at that. I mean, look at the placement, look at the way that they've been able to set themselves up. Ashish right here up top on this roof. On the other front, it is going to be, of course, his teammate Bad Boy on the other tangent, and the other 2 lads, that is of course going to be Jiwas as well as Rohit, are rotating into the flank ankles on the ground itself. So amazing play being showcased from Vengeance, where they are certainly not going to be allowing Team ZeroDeath to walk out of this arena. But in doing so, Smokin gets the better half of Ashish as he was trying to get into a flank angle against the players of ZeroDeath. And as they have been brought down, it is going to be a 3v3 affair. And in that, it is of course Outta who completely pushed in, but in the blank was not able to push and create that sort of an approach. And in that conversation, this is ZeroDeath finally getting that 1 kill confirmed for themselves, but Smokin not looking good. Outta the only one, thanks to the smoke, who's been completely just spraying through the smoke, getting those knocks onto himself and getting that kill confirmed as well. But for now, it has turned into a 2v2 situation. Smokin still has not gotten himself that health button taken care of, the first aid that he so very much needs. Ashish has been knocked. Ashish is the first knock that was confirmed, and since then it has been a conversation between, of course, Otta and the other players of Vengeance, and in doing so, these 2 teams find themselves in a 2v2 situation.
And a lot of time has given to Ashish and obviously for Vengeance to get that revival done. And since the revival is the case, do they have first aid, do they have bandage in order to get the 100 HP? If not, then again the revival won't be helping them. But since Ashish has that, again this is going to be a 2v2 affair where the team with a better gunfight will be taking away this match. But Bad Boy really finding themselves in a position with Ashish coming in. It is looking good for both the teams, and anyone can really take the fight away. But it seems that ZeroDeath, if they fall here, this will be a big dent to them, rather, since Vengeance really don't have a good chance to qualify. But since in this last game itself, we saw the world ranking suggesting that ZeroDeath, 1 good game can really favor them. But since the early 2 player being lost, I mean, either they go for the placement points, and if that has to happen, they have to really fall back from here. And it seems that this is going to be the case, as Otta is falling himself away from the situations, and they are now slowly and steadily creating the distance between them and the enemy.
Well, this bridge is certainly lost to the cause. Otta, he tried his level best to maintain that position for his team, but eventually they don't really have a lot working for them, and it is looking like Vengeance will not be able to bring these 2 players down as they go on to the back end and just try and keep their survival options open for themselves. For now, of course, ZeroDeath is in the vicinity. They have not decided to completely run away from the fight altogether, but that is exactly what they're slowly and synergistically working towards. Vengeance on the other front, they were able to get the 2 kills confirmed for themselves, but also receiving 2 deadly blows to them, where Rohit and Jiwas has been sent back into the lobby. So not the kind of play that was anticipated from any of these teams, but it is what these teams find themselves in, and it seems like they're committed. It seems like ZeroDeath is committed to this fight. They are committed to taking on this kill. On the other front of the map altogether, it is NEPALZ taking on the players of NTT Nepal. So an interesting play being showcased in the first 7.5 minutes of this final game of the PMCO Wildcard region itself.
Indeed, this is going to be the last game itself for each and every group, and since ANC are done, it is going to be the last one opportunity, last one chance for B&D. Eventually show what you have come up for, because at the end of the day, you have grind really hard, you have really made it look possible, and these surreal experiences where they stand at this moment. but the experience with which Team ZeroDeath smoking is going in is certainly going to be helping them. But it seems that health will be more often will be helping them, as he just has the 7 bandages, 1 painkiller, 1 ring that will be helping his scores to get closer to the 100 HP, and then we might get to see the head-on-head fight. But since just the 2 players alive from each and every side of the sides of both the teams, it is looking bleak for both the teams. But Nepal onto a different tangent is getting a lot of shots from different directions, as now an entity Nepal is pinning down NEPALZ, as Bon is still surviving, Sushi is still surviving, but 2 players has been put down to his knees with entity Nepal finishing one off. It is also looking pretty decent at this moment. The last 3 games eventually, not just only the 2, the last 3 has certainly not been in entity Nepal's favor, and this is one big team that really can't be kept quiet for a long time. And since they have been kept quiet, this is the way, this is the moment that they retaliate and explodes in passion.
Absolutely, and that is what they are bringing in from one fight to the next that they have been a part of as of now. As we move on with the zone itself, the teams are looking pretty comfortable. Wherein it is CNT, the only team that is going to be making that late rotation. On the other front, it is from the Yasnaya region, the team of the Legend, who are also going to be making that rotation to get into the comfort of the zone. For now, when it comes to the zone itself, there are teams trying to take on the fight. We just saw NEPALZ. There is, of course, ZeroDeath as well, who are in that proximity against the players of Vengeance. But again, that fight is just waiting and to erupt. Vengeance are waiting, so are ZeroDeath. But in all of this, when it comes down to the way that the game is turning out to be, it is looking very tricky for ZeroDeath to be able to get the kind of points that we were anticipating from them. But it is entity Nepal who are reigning in supreme in terms of the kill that they have been able to showcase till now and be a part of. But NEPALZ in the vicinity, having had 2 players lost in the kill feed, we can see ZeroDeath Smoken has taken a perfect knock against the players of Vengeance, and now this is the push that ZeroDeath were waiting for, and hopefully that push will be made to confirm their position and of course their survival in this entire game. But ZeroDeath also find themselves with just a 2-man squad, so hopefully they don't lose any. As of now, it is going to be entity Nepal with 3 kills confirmed for themselves, making a push against the compound of course NEPALZ. In doing so, it is going to be a tough situation. 2 players have moved on to very close proximity, but will it be enough? This has turned into a, of course, 4v2 situation where NEPALZ are looking not so good, but they have a perfect approach into how to stop the onslaught coming in from the side of entity Nepal. But entity Nepal again having that number advantage. Having that number advantage could very well be the thing that they were waiting for, and try and bring that into their favor and bring those kills and points for themselves as well. For now, of course, the nades helping out NEPALZ and maintaining entity Nepal is their position. But this is not good. This is not good. It seems like he's going for those tap intentionally. Once, all right, twice, all right. It seems thrice. Oh, all right. No, thrice. Third time is a charm.
Third time is lucky.
Yep,
Third time is lucky. Yep, he is. But that was at the end of the day, does all the smoke. He was trying to unsettle the player, but it seems that gun is the one better part with which they will be trying to unsettle the player, with Bond taking 2 players down. All of a sudden, the tide has turned and changed. But before that, it is going to be NEPALZ that will be leaving the lobby. But entity Nepal have lost 1 player. The player will be getting revival, but that push should have been a better one.
Absolutely, they did lose one of their players. Not the kind of play that was anticipated. On the other front, it is going to be Team Ronak taking on a player, taking on the team of SCS NVS all by themselves as well. And Team Ronak and SCL NVS find themselves on the potato hill and looking pretty sharp and phenomenal is what Team Ronak has been throughout the day. But will that be maintaining in this final game? We shall have to see, because again they are going to be taking on the players of SCL NVS, a very well-known team, a very credited and of course skilled team. But will it be enough for Team Ronak or SCL NVS against, because after all they do have the King of the Hill situation working for both of them. But what if another team third parties? There are so many teams in the proximity that could very well bring in that sort of a play style. But eventually, as of now, both of these teams find themselves in a bit of a stalemate situation where utilities were being utilized from the side of SCL NVS, but that is not the case for now from the side of Team Ronak. Well, they are trying to get themselves perfectly set up with the utilities, but again, the distance being so far apart between these two that it's not going to be an easy task to try and make that push. It seems like Team Ronak are creating some sort of a flank angle where his teammate Summer was going on towards the downward part of the potato hill itself. Are they going to go towards the zone is what this decision is. It seems likely to be the case. Yes, the team of Team Ronak have decided to move away from this fight and go into the comfort of the zone first, and then maybe they'll look on to getting some more fights.
Exactly, one big objective is to get into the zone, and that's what this battle royale game actually help you and pins you, and you are pressed to move into the zone, and you have to pay respect to it, and thus certainly SCL will be making a move in the zone, but perhaps it is going to be DS that is also be coming in from the backhand side, and all of a sudden there is a big traffic that may develop onto the northwestern side or western side, with the Illuminated crew into the favor, with the 4 Godawari fighters, with Team Ronak, and now SCL coming close to where Ruins are actually positioned. But Blodo, you look at the positioning of NPC. I mean, 3 players in a completely different split, and 1 closer to where, eventually not 1, 2 closer to where SCL are actually positioned. I mean, these sort of strategies can actually backfire them on a certain day, but that can actually also help you in terms of a longer run, in terms of where the circle can go and form. And if that was certainly been the case, it could have been, if the circle would have been made the northern shift, the players that were still holding those northern ridges could have got the better half of these circles. But it seems that DS are on a different sort of approach, as now they are slowly and steadily making a move from the southern side, and now they might be backstabbing a team as big as CNT. And CNT, you better be prepared, else it is Darksyde that is coming in to make your future dark and make your future look bleak. But Pachinki is where Vengeance and ZD, that is obviously going to be of ZeroDeath, that will be relinquishing the compound. But as soon as they move out of it, it is going to be Team Fear 10, that is the aggressive team in this lobby, that might be taking an onslaught onto them.
Absolutely. For now, as the zone moves on along, it is going to be not an easy situation for these teams, because after all, when it comes down to the teams themselves, we are remaining with so many teams still being part of this fight and part of the circle and part of the gameplay itself, and for that we are going to have to see what sort of a playstyle will they be moving on along with. Vengeance has 1 final player remaining, that's going to be Bad Boy. On the other front, it is going to be Entity Nepal, from the looks of it, who are taking on a fight by themselves. And again, moving on to the team of Team Ronak, this team find themselves in the vicinity of another team, and that team is going to be none other than Illuminate crew. So Illuminate crew is in the vicinity into the different compound region towards their western flank as well, but for now, they are not deciding to take that fight for themselves. It is going to be Illuminate crew pretty busy as well as they try and get themselves acclimated towards that compound. But the circle, the zone, still moves on away, further away from them, and CNT are certainly in contestation for that. But right behind them is going to be Darksyde. And again and again, when you talk about this team of Darksyde is just reigning supreme for this final day of semi-final.
Fear 10 in complete commanding position. All they just need to have is not let their fort getting in breach, because there are multiple teams that will have their eyes set upon. That's the compound which they are holding for the moment, with the teams like obviously the Legend coming in, and obviously the teams like SCS coming in. It is going to be a tough affair, but Zero that is still onto the Pachinki area. Maybe they're just waiting for those late rotation, but in doing so, it is going to be Legends that are obviously facing the brunt of the zone. And now Fear 10 is also retaliating in fashion, with now more and more teams coming in. There is a complete ruckus that has been created on the northern side, and in that northern side it is gonna be Legends Panda OP just trying to create that knock, with Mahang completely closed his angle. He is in the closer vicinity, and before he takes himself into the backhand side of those big tree trunks, he will be taken down by Panda OP. But Panda OP has sadly fallen down thanks to that onslaught that is coming in from the sides of Let's Do It, from the sides of NTD Nepal.
Absolutely. For now, it is going to be Let's Do It, with that smoke that he's been able to pop out for his teammate is going to be going on for that revival. But as he tries to do so, the perfect spray that was being created has resulted in the team not having a good start. On with that, Nepal and Entity Nepal getting eliminated. Okay, that was not the kind of play that was anticipated in that fight, but that is what has turned out to be. And indeed, in doing so, they walk away with 6 kills.
Indeed, 6 kills is what they walk away, and 6, not only 6, it's the 1 more. 7 is where they stand at this moment, and they have been by to this lobby, and their journey for the, obviously the semi-finals come to end. But certainly what a good journey for the team. It has been an impeccable one, but all of a sudden NPC have distracted our attention, because they are now making a move. 5 kills blotter is what they're standing at this moment, and all 4 players coming in and charging in from the northern side. If they get control of 1 more good game, is it going to be a big comeback? back.
It certainly looks to be the case, but we shall have to see because there are still 10 teams remaining, and in that you also have the likes of course, Illuminate, you've got Darksyde, you've got Fiatin, you've got SCL Envious, you've got the Legends, you've got ZeroDeath. So many of these teams with such kill-hungry sort of appetite that they have brought into the PMCO itself. It is not going to be an easy control situation for NPC, but again, they were able to do it last time. I mean, nothing stopping them from doing it again. But as they do so, they're going to have to be really, really careful. And it seems like Neil has gotten the information onto the rotation coming in from the side of NPC. But wow, he is not deciding to take that fight for now. He is just completely relying on the information and retaining it to his teammates. And this is where they could very well third party the side of the Legends.
That can be a case. That can certainly be a case, because since the Legend are just 2 players surviving, it is a good chance for NPC to get hold of all those 2 kills. And not only those kills, there's a little warehouse, not even the little, this is massive one. If we just talk about the positioning and the size of it, it is going to be Snark that has gone for the flank angle with Sandeep coming in closely, slowly and steadily. It is at one point in time that Legends can hold on. But Mr. Tampe, remember his fight in the game of Erangel and the Miramar and the Sanhok that he has played. He is the one that is in the sublime form, and the one good thing that Legends need to take care about, that he needs to perform, and he is performing, and he can be the X factor in the fight if Sandeep and along with NPC pushes all along onto the players. But since the circle has certainly shifted away from all these teams, it is going to be 300 meters for each and every team that is standing on the northern side. And since NPC didn't engage in this fight, they really have a quick chance to make a quick rotation. And yes, they are doing so. Yes, they are doing so. Each and every team will be going for a rotation, but in that it is going to be NPC that will be the first one.
Absolutely are, and as they make that rotation, it is going to be the Legends who would certainly not able to bring in any sort of a control towards the players of NPC's rotation. On the other front, Fear 10 also tried their level best and were able to actually bring on a knock towards the players of NPC, and it seems like Fear 10 now are being distracted against the players of against the rotation of SCL and VS as well, and in that have gotten quite a lot of points for themselves. NPC Rage going down, but the only player, because of the remaining 3 players from the side of NPC, will be able to make that rotation. Now Fear 10 are deciding to absolutely get themselves in the comfort of the zone, and as they were fighting their other teams, it is going to be the Legends. A perfect spray from Carl, resulting in 2 players already knocked, and it is going to be Neil going down as well. This lad is being exceptionally well when it comes down to the sprays that he's bringing to the table, and what an incredible turn of events this has turned out to be. And Fear 10 are none the wiser. They have been brought down to their knees. 3 of the players, the only player remaining is going to be Fragger number 1, and Fragger number 1, all he can think about is well, create the smoke wall and try and just run away from the situation, because there's nothing he can do. He needs to get into the comfort of the zone.
Carl is bringing death onto the players of Fiatin, and 3 more kills is what he has been able to secure, and he has secured all these 3s. And with Tampe getting hold of all those vehicles that was beautifully parked in this squad house, but sadly it is going to be them. And not only that, the Tesla has also been stolen away, but now realizing the fact that Fragger number 1 is making a move on, this is going to be a battle that will be either fought or either won by Fiatin or by the Legend Esports. With them, it is going to be Carl that will be finding themselves away from the situation, with Tampe going down. But Tampe, the kill has been secured from some different teams, and Fragger number 1 has also got a lot of big dead, but in doing so, it is also going to be one big team. NPC has left the lobby. 7 kills with what they left the lobby. That means we still need to get to see the overall ranking, what sort of point difference, what sort of ups and downs that is still creating. But it is going to be one last more chance for SCLS to actually show the prowess and justify why they are here.
Absolutely, 5 kills that we can clearly see from NPC. On the other front, the Legends have a wonderful turn of events as well as they exit the lobby. Perfect play and a perfect spray is what this team was able to showcase, but eventually, of course, just a 2-man army, not going to be able to survive for too long. And now it is going to be SCL Envious who are trying to reign in supreme. It is going to be still Illuminate Crew, his part of this entire saga. There is still Darksyde. This team of Darksyde, they are very, very persistent. I mean, they just keep on surviving no matter how. From all of these games, we've seen them actually participate in all the games that were played today. They have been part of the top 5 teams every single time, Darksyde.
One grenade straight to the lab, and Sabine GT has no other option than to just fall down. And with that, Eliminate Crew is moving slowly and steadily into the... With 2 kills already onto the neighbor, with 4 players still alive, they really have a good chance to make it to the chicken. But SCL and VS Feriwala, we remember this guy right off the go from the start of this wildcard period. He has been the one, the X factor. Whenever he has that starting performance, whenever he starts, it's the team that brings the charm and get the most of the points. With ZeroDeath still in the contestation, 6 kills were there players standing with a total of 2 players still remaining on their feet. It is also going to be a tough affair for the rest of the lobby that have left in. Talk about NPC, they will be giving a charge, but the caster's curse is on as now ZeroDeath players are falling slowly and steadily. I should have said that. I shouldn't have said that.
As soon as you did, I mean, before that I was talking about Darksyde, and Darksyde being here are the reason why, well, ZeroDeath is not. ZeroDeath's one player is not, of course, and of course with that it is going to be the saga that will not continue for Smoken, but eventually ZeroDeath still have at least one player in the lobby, and in that it is going to be Illuminate, completely decimating the players of 4 Godawari fighters. With 4 kills is what 4 Godawari fighters walk away with. This has been a crazy turn of events. We were now left with just 3 teams remaining. 6 kills is what the side of ZeroDeath team walk out. And this is just a crazy, crazy play where indeed we have Illuminate. We do still have SCL along with Darksyde, but for how long? Because Darksyde are reigning in Supreme once again as they bring in those kills for themselves. Again and again, Darksyde just keep on pestering the remaining opponent teams.
Exactly, they are doing the Ghost with those ghostly weapons in his hand. It's the AKM with which he is making and trying to bring a lot of them, with still 4 players surviving, with still 4 players surviving from the sides of both the teams. That is going to be Darksyde and Illuminate too. This is going to be a tough chance and a tough affair, but in doing so, it is going to be SCL NVS, 3 players still surviving on the northern side that will be finding themselves and enjoying all these parties. And at that moment, at any point, if they try to bring a lot of charm, a lot of kills, a lot of gunpowder, it is going to be the Ferrywala that has got a lot of hit again, and he's the one that has been knocked on spot on technique by the side of Gotcha, and also for the Ghost. A good gameplay coming in indeed from the side of Darksyde. The way they are spotting them down, they really have a good chance for this match again.
Well, what a play being created once again from the side of Darksyde indeed, as they just were so very patient, so very quiet, found themselves in the top 3 and then started retaliating and taking on those kills for themselves and those knocks again. Illuminate True still having all 4 players surviving with 5 kills confirmed for this team. This team is also on fire today. This team has been, as soon as they got themselves in the top 16, they were like, we are not going back. We are just not going back. We are going to be trying to bring in as much of an onslaught as we possibly can, and in doing so have resulted in getting some decent amount of kills and decent amount of placement points for themselves, and that has worked in their favor because they will be in the top 16. But as the journey progresses on along, this is where we are going to be looking at all these 3 teams who are part of the top 16. Well, which one is going to be getting that chicken dinner? For now, SCL NVS are down to, of course, the 3-man squad. We just saw Ferrywala being revived as well, so 3-man army is what this team is going to be. On the other front, when you talk about Darksyde as well as Illuminate Crew, they both have all 4 players surviving. But the zone is creating, no, not really. No, zone is also not really creating too much of ruckus, because they will be able to, all 3 teams will be able to get into the comfort of the zone in sort of like a blood triangle that's been created.
It's the 7th circle, and we are heading towards the last part where we have still 11 players alive, and in that 3 teams are alive. That means 4-4 each from 2 and 3 from the sides of SCS. In doing so, it has been a sort of stalemate situation for one last minute, and the player are just spotting down and just waiting for that one rookie mistake, and Ferrywala was right there in order to take him down. And Pravas, since he has gone down, a lot of pressure is actually mounting onto the players of now Darksyde, as now they survive with the onslaught, as now they have already attracted a lot of attentions, not only from the sides of SCL NVS, but also from the sides of Illuminate Crew, with Say Hang just trying to pepper down the bullets onto the heads of player, still not connecting. There's a big thick smoke cloud that was created just in order to get the revival done for Trouble, but that was a lost cause.
It certainly was. It certainly does leave the side of Darksyde with just a 3-man army. It is not looking good, because Trouble was the only man who was able to get those 2 kills for themselves, but that does not imply that the other players are not going to be able to do so. Ghost Klaus, we have seen bring in some phenomenal plays for themselves, but Illuminate are the ones in control right now. Illuminate Crew are the ones who are absolutely pincing down players, and in all of that, of course, Ferrywala is also up. That means Ferrywala is going to be given in a lot of damage, and again, the rivalry between him and Darksyde certainly continues on, as he's just trying to pinch down the players of Darksyde, and so are Illuminate Crew as well. And in all of this conversation, Darksyde, they are onto a little bit of a receiving front, because from 2 fronts they are receiving, and of course the zone also is certainly going to be constricting their positioning. For now, the small little dip that they've got, Ghost especially, is going to be covering his position from both the sides, but On Fire right here, bringing in that nade from the looks of it, is going to be, no, Smoke actually. What a play this is. What an incredible play it is from the side of On Fire, where he does have a flank angle. Of course, from the side of Ghost, he should have been able to spot that the trajectory of the smoke itself, but it seems that he had a different, or rather he was focusing on a different thing, because On Fire is right there, and he could be brought down if Ghost plays this right.
Indeed it is, but in all doing so, it is going to be Feriwala from the side of SCL NVS that has now slowly and steadily snaking in action, is making himself closer towards where Darksyde is positioned. And the worst part for Darksyde is that they are constricted in the small little position where they just need to find themselves away, else it will be just too late. With now Feriwala making a move onto the players, with Ahnan making a move also onto the different directions. It is going to be Ghost from the sides of Darksyde that has brought the first knock, and now the settlement, the truce has ended, as now a bloodbath will be created.
Absolutely, Ghost was just waiting for that circle to constrict, and as it did, this team has just pushed on alongside the players of the Illuminate crew, and Onfire has simply been eliminated. In doing that, we have now a 3v3v3 situation where the teams are looking pretty equal, but will it be enough? SCL, NVS and Darksyde are taking now onslaught against each other indeed, and in doing so, it is going to be, of course, Darksyde who have gotten a knock. SCL, NVS find themselves with just a two-man army, and now that has been brought down to a one-man squad, and that's going to be, of course, just Farawala. And Farawala, he knows what he's up against. He does know that there are the team of course, Darksyde right in front of him, and he wants to be able to bring them down. And as he does so, he gets himself crouched, and as soon as he does that, he will be spotted, and Klaus will get the better half of that entire saga. Now, it is a 1v1 situation if this revival is not confirmed, and it is going to be a conversation for High to answer as soon as he gets up and jumps on towards the players of Darksyde. It could be his game, but it seems like a revival will be confirmed. Yes, it will, and from that, a second revival will be confirmed. Oh boy, come on, Illuminate crew, what have you done? What have you done? You've given this fight, you've given this entire opportunity away, where indeed he could have been able to just bring a perfect chicken dinner for himself and his team. That has certainly not been the case. It is going to be Darksyde chiming in along. Again, what a cheeky team this is. What a cheeky team this is. I mean, you talk about being absolutely quiet till those final few moments of the zones and the circles, and then you reign in supreme with all four players, and then just completely try and decimate the lobby. And that's what this team has done twice now today, and has been absolutely perfect in doing that. With that, they are on the 9th in the overall ranking. 6 kills is what they walk away with, 21 points in total. Darksyde certainly playing their cards right today. What a perfect Erangel it has been, or rather what a perfect Erangel day it has been for the side of Darksyde.
Exactly, starting days off on Erangel and getting a chicken, and ending obviously the semi-finals of the groups that they are playing for today. It was really a good and a treat to watch, with Darksyde getting 2 chicken back-to-back. And as you perfectly mentioned, the cheeky gameplay, I mean, it was really not easy for them to survive in the situation where from the right hand side it was SCL and VS pinning them down, and from the left hand side it was Eliminate Crew that was completely trying to decimate them. But somewhere down the line we need to commend this guy Carl from the sides of the Legend Esports. Remember, in one spray he brought down 2 players, and then one player came down to give the revival, and then it was a moment where a big dent was made onto the players of the Fear 10. And before that it was looking good for Fear 10 to survive in the same situation, but Carl really brought death onto them.
Absolutely, I mean, that was just a perfect spray being showcased from the Legend Carl indeed. And as we move on to the top players list, it is going to be Smokin also chiming in from the side of Team ZeroDeath with 4 kills, 625 damage that he was a part of. But alongside all of this, SCL and VS's 2 players are here, where they do have Feriwala as well as Waik with of course 3 kills and 2 kills respectively, and very similar damage being showcased from both of them as well. And this is looking really phenomenal turnover wins for the teams. Of course, we were talking about, well, will there be a team from the third page that will jump into the arena and take that top 16 position? It is seemingly unlikely, because we did see NPC playing their cards to perfection, but eventually we shall see if the points that they were able to accumulate will bring them into, of course, the top 16. For now, it is the match ranking where Darksyde certainly got the chicken dinner with 6 kills, 21 points in total. Same as the kill department for Illuminate Crew, but shy of 3 points because they did not get the chicken dinner. But as we move on along, NPC right here with 7 points. 7 points is what NPC has been able to accumulate. 16th position holder had roughly about 73 points, and NPC, will it be enough? I do not know. I do not know. But for now, this is looking really good for the teams who have been able to make it. And the first half of the leaderboard, we are clearly being showcased with, of course, the likes of Team Ronak with 3 chicken dinners. A perfect play.
Exactly, a perfect one. But moving on along, my eyes are straight set on the last 16. I mean, 12 is where Legend Esports are there. Illuminate Crew, obviously one good game getting in the favor, and with that 96 total points. 4 Godawari fighters still there, but certainly NPCs, the valiant effort that they tried to make in this last match itself was just not enough. But ZeroDeath all of a sudden they have found themselves at the 16th position. Sadly, it was not this time for NPC.
And Veterans of Death as well. Veterans of Death was the team that was on the 16th position, but they have been toppled over. Youch moment indeed for the team, but of course that is how the saga continues, and that is what the story dictates when it comes to the semi-finals of the PMCO Wildcard region. And in that, of course, these teams that participated right here in the group stages also, of course, will be walking away with the $300 for the participation itself. But of course, when it comes to the bragging rights of being in the top 16, and then from there, the team that will get that chicken dinner will also get the PMPL slot as well for Season 4. So there's a lot that could have been worked towards, but it's absolutely fine and alright. The teams that find themselves on the 3rd and the 4th page of the overall ranking because they participated. They showcased to their fans that yep, we are there, and we next time around are going to be that much more better, as the story is not yet done.
Exactly, as the story is yet not done. We move towards the kill leaderboard. Again, Paradox Hazer that has been topping the chart right of the day one, the match number 1. Still there, still unfathomable, still unachievable is where he stands. 32 kills, 6305 damage, and then it was again it was yesterday's gameplay where Z-Boy find himself at the 31 position. It was Para's G1, it was then Quit from the sides of Para, a lot of player from the sides of Paradox, and just because of that, when we got to see the overall ranking, that the 186, 189 total points, or the hashtag 1 is where they stand, and we got to just justify it with all the 43 players from there. What a game.
What a perfect game. What a perfect game it was certainly for so many of these teams, as they showcased some perfectly synergistic plays throughout the 6 days of the semi-finals. But now the other story will continue. Now another journey will start, where of course the teams that have moved on into the top 16 will certainly be trying to dominate against each other, and we have the best of the best names in that. So it's going to be really exciting finals indeed. But for today, for now, we do reach the end of our show, as well as the end of the semi-finals itself. So we'll be back again next weekend to showcase the perfect plays that are going to be anticipated from those teams. But until then, you guys take care and stay awesome.
Here we go now. 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 Here we go now.